NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch going into turn 2. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's leading the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big choke.
Three drivers, one champion. 17-year-old Michael Conti from Woodland Park, New Jersey. Ray Alfalla, the 2-time world champion and native of Matanzas, Cuba. Series veteran Nick Ottinger from Claremont, North Carolina. iRacing.com hosts the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, the most prestigious online racing championship in the world. Each February, 50 of the world's best virtual stock car drivers begin their journey at Daytona International Speedway. After 8 grueling months, thousands of laps, and 15 races, 3 contenders remain. Michael Conti, driver of the number 5 Chevrolet for J-Show Motorsports, holds on to a slim 13-point lead. His closest pursuer, Ray Alfalla, drives for Slip Angle Motorsports in the number 2 Ford Fusion. GFR's Nick Ottinger has a 33-point gap to the leader in the 05 Toyota Camry. Each has excelled at the critical moments, but only one will claim the title. The 2014 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series Championship comes down to Homestead. Live coverage begins October 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern on iRacing.com/live.
The road to $10,000 comes to an end this evening. This is round number 17 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. The Homestead-Miami Speedway is the site for the finale. 167 laps to run this evening and 3 drivers with a mathematical chance at winning the championship and all the perks that come with this evening at Homestead. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, and Joe Cortez here to call all the action for you. And Tony, there's 2 drivers within 13 points. Nick Ottinger is holding on to a mathematical shot at this thing. We've got championship battles. We've got battles to stay in this series for next season. And then we got a race win as well. Keep in mind, this is the race that Peter Bennett won his first ever NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series victory at last season.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can happen here, Tim. As you mentioned, a championship, a race for 20th in points to stay in, or have to race your way back into the series. There's a lot of things happening, and even if one of those gets a little lackluster over the course of the night show, there's going to be a lot to follow, and this race typically has a lot of surprises at the end of 200 and some miles.
Absolutely it does. Tonight is the accumulation of what we started all the way back in February. Tonight the cream has risen to the top, and guys, tonight we're going to see where everything goes, how everything ends, and I've got a feeling it's going to end in a very entertaining fashion.
You got Michael Conti, who's looking for his first championship, comes in 13 points up. You got Ray Alfalla, who's going to look for his 3rd championship, 13 points back. Conti's got 3 wins. Alfalla's got 2. Alfalla has held the hotter hand the last couple of weeks than Conti has. We'll talk about that in just a few moments' time. But before we do, I believe Tony Stevens has caught up with Brian Emmerich, the series sponsor, Peak Antifreeze. And Tony, it's been a great first season for Peak with this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
Oh, Tim, I don't think you'll find a single subscriber or fan of the iRacing sim that will disagree by any means, and that leads me to my first question with Brian. What has this season been like for you guys at Peak Antifreeze? I know for us, covering the series, it has been a little bit of a roller coaster, a very enjoyable one at that, but what's it been like for you guys to be involved?
Well, Tony, first off, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. We have really enjoyed this first year, and we're looking forward to the future years, obviously, of being involved with the series. But we have had great support from the sim community, from drivers, from fans, and even our drivers in the Cup Series and our involvement with the K&N Series, folks always come up and say, hey, I think it's really cool that you guys are involved in the iRacing Series, because there's so many guys that have an opportunity to have real racing, but certainly can't afford to go to the racetrack every weekend with, equipment to be able to compete. So it's been fantastic for us. We hope that support continues to translate into business for us so that we can keep doing this and doing more stuff, and we're very confident that it does. But we love car racing and all kinds of racing, and being involved in sim has just been fantastic.
I think the next product line you guys should come out with is coolant for your processor. Just saying, it would fit pretty well. But you talk about the goals that you guys have. Obviously, every company wants to sell product, wants to make money, but different marketing initiatives have different goals and different pieces of the puzzle, basically, where they fit in. Where does this series sponsorship fit, and has it achieved the goals, and what were those goals that you guys wanted to tackle and get knocked out in the first year of your involvement?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to define goals in a way that are very measurable when it comes to things like sponsorship, but what we look at is, are we making connection, and do people realize that we're involved in something and partnering in something like the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series with iRacing, because we actually care about the people and the folks that enjoy doing it. And our success rate is, as we've gone out and measured that and talked to consumers, certainly the feedback that we've gotten back socially as well as in person, we believe that we're building equity around the fact that we are supporting things that are important to our customers. Folks that not only work on their cars every day, but in the future will become proponents of the brand and all the other stuff that we do at Peak and that we offer up. So, we feel like it's been successful. We are working with iRacing to continue to make sure that we create more connections out there. So you're probably familiar, I know you are, with the Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge that we did. We made sure that we included iRacing and iRacers in that, and the success that we had there, and the success of the two drivers that we brought in, Tyler and Paul, just showed how closely connected the sim and the real world of racing is, and that further reinforces all the other stuff that we do in racing on and offline.
Oh, Brian, that ultimately was my next question, was about the Stock Car Dream Challenge. And to kind of follow that up, Christian Payhood, also an iRacer, with a little more physical world experience. You guys have got the Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge event, so to speak, out in California this weekend for him. What have you guys got planned, and can we expect to see the same deal happening again in, about 6 months or so?
Yeah, well, we're excited. We have Christian out racing this weekend in California. We've also set it up so that Michael Waltrip will be there to help coach him through that. He'll be racing with him, just like he did for Patrick, who won last year. But the early feedback from Bill McAnally Racing and Bill himself is that, we had another successful year. We really found a driver that can wheel a car, and I have very, very high expectations for him. In regards to next year, we are always trying to one-up ourselves and find ways of furthering the connection, once again, that we make with folks. And this idea of finding grassroots drivers and giving them a chance, it still exists, and we're actually looking at some more unique ways to bring that opportunity to life. So I can't really tell you what that is yet, but we'll have some great news coming down the road.
Well, we certainly look forward to it, Brian. Again, thanks for your involvement with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series this year. We look forward to the future, and for that matter, we look forward to a fun race tonight, and glad you could be along for the ride.
Well, thanks for having me, and good luck to all the drivers tonight, and I'll be watching. Exciting.
That's Brian Emmerich from Peak Antifreeze, series sponsor of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Tim, and I think he's got about as good a seat as anybody up here with us to tune in and see exactly how this is all going to shake out tonight.
And you talk about shaking out, let's pop up our point standings here before we do get going, because we are approximately 3 minutes or so from going to the green flag for this evening's final race of this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for 2014. Yes, it's Michael Conti up in front. Alfala 13 points back. Nick Ottinger 33 back. That's your battle for the championship per se, but Ottinger and Lawton, 16 points between those two. That's going to be a battle for third. And then you got a nice, interesting battle here for position number 5 with Jake Sturgis, Chris Overland, and Matt Busa, along with Adam Gilliland. Throw Adam Gilliland in there as well. He's celebrating his birthday tonight, actually. 19 points between those 4 drivers for a top 5 spot in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series for this 2014 season. And Tony, when you look at 20th is pretty interesting too, because you've got a bunch of guys that are looking to not have to go through the Pro Series season in order to lock themselves into 2015.
Yeah, Tim, you're exactly right. And that is almost as important as anything for these guys, because there is really there's a lot of uncertainty when you go into that and you have to run the NASCAR. You have to run the Pro Series here on iRacing to try to get back into the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. And we've seen a lot of talent come through the Pro Series, and we've seen a lot of talent just all of a sudden change and surprise us. And there's about 5 or 6 guys, Joe, that are ready to try to do battle to lock themselves in for 2015.
Peter Bennett right now in 20th, only 4 points over Michael J. Johnson in 21st, only 6 points ahead of Rob Ackley in 22nd, and those guys barely hanging on, looking to get that 20th position. Remember, only, as you said, Tony, only the top 20 get in, which makes that 20th arguably just as important as position number 1.
And when you look at those 2 drivers, Joe, that are on the bubble, they are starting nose to tail with each other back in about 26th place this evening. That's going to be exciting, but we're also going to watch that point battle, because that's the one that's going to crown the champion. Conti, Alfala, and Ottinger, we are going to step away for just a few moments' time. We bring you back with the starting lineup for this evening's round 17 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
3 drivers, 1 champion. 17-year-old Michael Conti from Woodland Park, New Jersey. Ray Alfala, the 2-time world champion and native of Matanzas, Cuba. Series veteran Nick Ottinger from Claremont, North Carolina. iRacing.com hosts the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, the most prestigious online racing championship in the world. Each February, 50 of the world's best virtual stock car drivers begin their journey at Daytona International Speedway. After 8 grueling months, thousands of laps, and 15 races, 3 contenders remain. Michael Conti, driver of the number 5 Chevrolet for J-Show Motorsports, holds on to a slim 13-point lead. His closest pursuer, Ray Alfala, drives for Slip Angle Motorsports and the number 2 Ford Fusion. GFR's Nick Ottinger has a 33-point gap to the leader in the 05 Toyota Camry. Each has excelled at the critical moments, but only one will claim the title. The 2014 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series Championship comes down to Homestead. Live coverage begins October 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern on iRacing.com/live.
Homestead-Miami Speedway getting ready to get loud with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing finale. Here is your starting grid for round number 17. Michael Conti is on the pole, your championship leader, with a 30-28. To the outside, Cody Bias in the 27. Kenny Humpy in third, Ottinger in fourth, and Brad Mahar fifth.
Next 5 of the grid, Ray Alfala, the challenger for the championship. Adam Gilliland, Kevin King, Chad Lawton, and Justin Bolton make up the top 10.
Matt Busa will start in position number 11. Tom Lewandowski to 16, 12. Alex Warren 13th. Brian Blackford the 33 and 14th. And Chris Overland in 15th.
Brian Day 16th. PJ Sturgis 17th. 18th is Mitchell Hunt. 19th Trey Eidson and Rob Ackley on the bubble in 20th.
Next 5 include Jake Sturgis, Brian Schoenberg, Brandon Schmidt, Tyler Laughlin, and Stephen Gilbert in 25th.
Peter Bennett, Alex Scribner, Michael Johnson, Brandon Bowie, and Landon Harrison round out your top 30.
Completing your field, the outgoing champion, Tyler Hudson, Brandon Chaburko, Danny Hansen, Andrew Fash III, and Brandon Hoff, going to complete your 35-car starting field for for this evening's 167 lap event at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. We are getting ready to go racing, and Michael Conti going to try to start it off easy and start it off with maybe a bonus point if he can get out here and lead a lap from the pole position. Cody Bias on the outside, trying to take away his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing win. Green flag is in the air. Bias spins the tires a little bit, and Conti is away clean. And what a good start for the 5-car. He's gone.
Yeah, he is out. Well, not out to lunch. He's out somewhere already in the middle of the ocean, I think, as quick as he got away from the field. And Joe, that does not bode well for the rest of this field that Mike Conti is that fast. I'm starting to see recollections of Darlington in my head once again.
They were bunched up down the backstretch from 3 and 4. They straighten out, and it will be in the middle of that pack. Ray Alfalla, he will settle down in position number 3, followed by... Can't get my notes in front of me here. Alfalla followed by Cody Bias, followed by, appears to be the 05 of Nick Ottinger.
I spoke with Mike Conti a little bit earlier this morning, and I asked him about strategy. He said that he has anywhere from a 3rd to 7th place car this evening. If this thing does go green, pit strategy could come into play, and it's bitten him a couple of times here this season. And oh, by the way, he mentioned that Kenny Humphrey was quick, and the 58 car right now, Tony, running in position number 2, running away from Ray Alfalla and trying to catch Michael Conti.
I don't know if running is the right term, Tim. He's walking away from Ray Alfalla for sure. Mike Conti ran away from the field in the first lap or two, but now, yes, Humpy is starting to slowly reel in Mike Conti and continue that conversation from the top 3. I spoke to Ray Alfalla a little bit earlier today, and he didn't seem very confident in his race car. A lot of times you get these drivers, especially a champion like Alfalla, and when they know their race car is good, they'll tell you their race car is good. And I asked him, I said, how is it? His response, it's okay. I said, well, is that you're playing poker okay? You don't want to go out and tell me you're going to kill everybody? Or is that okay, like, oh crap, we need some speed? And he just said, it's okay. So Ray Alfalla still might be playing the cards close to the vest, but I've got a feeling, like you said, Tim, that pit strategy could come into play. And as we've seen, Joe, that's not necessarily Mike Conti's strength. But all he has to do is finish 9 spots ahead of Ray Alfalla, and the championship is his.
Something else to consider, though, Tony. Ray is not... If you go back to last year, Ray may still have a little bit of I guess, flashbacks, a little bit of nervousness compared to what happened last year. Remember, he was running for the championship here at Homestead-Miami 1 year ago. He was running for the championship. He was looking for that championship. He played the fuel strategy game. He lost the fuel strategy game. So, what does that tell you? He may be a little bit gun shy. He may be a couple different things. But we know for sure that Alfalla is going to take that lesson and learn from it. And when he says the car isn't running great, it can mean a number of things. But I don't think strategy is one of those things that he means.
But on the other side of it, too, when Ray Alfalla did that pit strategy, he was running all the way back at about 20th place. They completely airballed on the setup when it came to building a setup for that race car, for that race last year in the championship at this Homestead-Miami Speedway. Ray Alfalla right now running in position number 3 and comfortable right now in position number 3. But, Tony, when I talked to a lot of these teams when they were getting ready to go racing this evening, they were talking about what the setup is doing after 10 laps. The tires start to go away after 10 laps. The car just starts to fall off after 10 laps. If you can keep it up after 10 laps and be a little bit better from that point on, then you're going to be good this evening. And I know that's what a lot of these teams are looking for. And speaking about looking, Humpy is looking at Conti here, about a car length in between them. We're looking at a side-by-side battle back here around position number 10 as Busa and Bolton go side-by-side.
Yeah, a few battles throughout the field, as you talked about, Tim. Those tires now begin to wear off, and we start to get closer and closer to where the balance of the race car really comes into effect. And one of the keys here at Homestead, it's so easy to overdrive the corner, to want to just barrel that car off deep into the 24-degree banks here. You could do that for a little while, but the tires aren't going to like it. You've got to be, you almost have to back off, it seems like, a mile away from the corner. You've got to let that car just roll in, and you want to have that car free enough in the center that it rotates and you can get back to the throttle whenever you want, but you don't want to have it so free on exit that it starts to come around you. It's a very, very fine balance here at Homestead. And really, when you look at the racetrack, it doesn't seem that complicated, but it's probably one of the most difficult tracks to run anywhere on the tour, Joe. And drivers that can maintain their tires, keep tire strategy under them, and have a very balanced race car at the end of the run, those are the guys we're going to have to watch. And right now up front, it looks like it could be Kenny Humphrey. Here he goes now to the inside of Mike Conti for the lead.
Kenny Humphrey won the season opener at Daytona. He wants to win it again at Homestead-Miami and bookend the season. Humphrey gets around Conti, and we have a new leader for the first time tonight at Homestead-Miami. Kenny Humphrey, 58, in front of Michael Conti. Ray Alfalla now on the rear bumper of Conti.
And it's closing in Ray Alfalla in car number 2 as well. He looks up on the number 5 as they go down the back straightaway. Kenny Humphrey trying to pull away a little bit from this battle, but right now 3 cars going for the lead position. And Alfalla looking to get past that 5 and looking to possibly get that bonus point that Conti just did for leading laps at the start of this race. Humphrey comes across this time, 11 laps completed of the 167 to run this evening. Top 3 have broken away by a half second over Cody Bias in car number 27.
And I'm starting to wonder now, Tim, if we're starting to see maybe the 3 cream cards, if you will, rise to the top. A couple other drivers back there starting to make a few moves, including the number 8 of Adam Gilliland trying to move forward. But this is exactly how this race played out last year. The better cars got to the front very quickly, and then it was a matter of pit strategy, running the car where he needed to and how long he needed to. And I'm starting to wonder if Mike Conti can assess that race car now and go, I'm where I need to be. Let's not screw this up on pit road. I don't think it'll happen, but we've seen it already a couple of times this season, Joe. Somebody thinks they have the pit strategy down, and it works out on paper, but in reality, something really, really weird happens. And if you're Mike Conti, that's got to be your big worry now, knowing that you've got a car that's good enough, just don't mess it up yourself or on pit road.
Well, let's go ahead and go back to that real quick. Go back again to last year. You saw it last year here at Homestead-Miami. The race was won on pit road. Strategy was critical to winning that race, to winning that championship for Tyler Hudson. So pit road is going to be a vital part of tonight's race as you ride now inside the Sim Pedals machine of Michael Conti. Pit strategy is going to be a vital part of this race.
And as you ride on board with car number 5, I wonder if we can get a nice tight shot of that paint scheme, because it's a brand new paint scheme for Conti, and it comprises the 3 years that he has been in this series. The front half of the car is from 2012, from his first start, his first paint scheme in this series. The middle portion is from the 2013 primary scheme. The back half is from the 2014 primary scheme. And right now, he is looking to bring that thing to the front of the field. And keep in mind, Tony, we talked about him being in this series for 3 years. Obviously, he's been on the service for a little bit longer. This is his 1,000th oval start on the iRacing simulation. So he's been around a couple of times and looking for that big championship here this evening. Wants to kick it off in grand style by possibly winning the race and winning the championship in this 1,000th start.
What a moment that would be for Mike Conti if he's able to pull that off. And what easy math it makes, too. It's $10 per start. If you just told me at the beginning of my iRacing career that at the 1,000th start, or at any point, I would make $10 per start, I probably would have told you were crazy, but I probably would have taken you up on it. And I've got a feeling Mike Conti, if he can pull this out, will be very glad that that happened, Joe. It's amazing to see how people react to some of the pressures in life when they are put up to expectations to perform. We've seen Tyler Hudson, Ray Alfalla, even some of these guys that have lost championships, how they have reacted to it. Even Richard Towler in the inaugural season of the Peak Antifreeze series. But here you have a kid, literally a kid, who's in position to win $10,000. That is just amazing. It's got to just blow his mind that he is in position to do something like that.
Well, not only that, Tony, but he will also be immortalized as a NASCAR champion. How many kids on their college, if he wins it tonight, how many kids in their college application can put down valedictorian, 4.0 GPA, and NASCAR champion? That by itself is an incredible accomplishment. That is something that he will cherish for the rest of his life no matter where he goes, no matter what he does, if he has that trophy, that's something he will always hold on to.
And we're going to look at the battle for 5th here as well. And here's Kevin King, a driver that has missed a lot of the season. Obviously, Tony, real life sometimes gets in the way, and Kevin's had a part-time season here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, but he hasn't missed a beat. The 29, who won this race 2 years ago, goes to the inside of Ottinger that last time by and takes position number 5. And now Brad Mahar going to look at Ottinger for position number 6. His teammate Adam Gilliland going to try to follow him through as well. And they both go by Nick Ottinger. And Chad Lawton going to tag along as well. The driver that really needs to go this evening if he wants any chance at winning this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing Championship is falling back here on lap number 20. He is back to position number 9. And Tony, I believe you have caught up with maybe a special guest here that's watching this race as well, that's watched a few of these finales here with us.
Oh, he certainly has. It's kind of fitting we're talking about Kevin King and Nick Ottinger and some of these drivers that have affiliations in some way, shape, or form with actual NASCAR teams. We talked about earlier this year how Brad Keselowski and company got together with Kevin King and his teammates, and Cale Gale and the Ream Bunch who are heavily involved in NASCAR, obviously, with Nick Ottinger and so many others. And, of course, NASCAR very heavily involved in this series as it is their only virtual sanctioned series, and Nick Wren is with us from NASCAR. Nick, another year almost in the books, and it just seems that this keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger as the years go on. Did you guys have any idea that this series would become what it has?
Hey, I tell you what, the season it's almost in the books, and I don't want to be cocky and say we told you so, but I think that if you look at everybody who's had their hands on this business, all the drivers that have been racing in this series, every time everybody comes out here, they want to get better. The broadcasts get better. The amount of data that iRacing is cranking into the sim on a weekly basis is getting better and better. And I think looking back, I'm not surprised, to be honest with you, and I'm super excited to see where the future takes us here now that we have Pete and Brian Emmert's support.
I was going to say, this is becoming its own entity almost more than I think any of us really imagined, and I would imagine almost more than you guys really imagined. And in the last year or so, we've had so many things happen. We talked about the Stock Car Dream Challenge and how Christian Payhood, who's an iRacer, didn't get into the contest through iRacing, but is an iRacer, gets to run a NASCAR K&N Pro Series West race this weekend with Michael Waltrip from Michael Waltrip Racing. We've seen Josh Berry, who Dale Jr. originally met on the precursor to iRacing and fostered that friendship through iRacing, make his nationwide series debut. He's got another race coming here at Homestead. How many drivers have you guys seen really become more attached and involved with this sport, and fans for that matter, because of your involvement with iRacing?
I think, to be honest with you, that's really hard to measure, but just saying what people are saying in the forums and talking to people in the industry, you definitely feel like iRacing and this series is starting to validate what we're doing in the virtual world, and hopefully starting to make the tie from what these virtual athletes can do to what they can do in the real world. And I think that what we've seen Pete do here with the Stock Car Dreams Challenge, and how far Tyler Hudson, our champion from last year, was able to progress in that, is really a testament to these guys' ability to race on the track. And I think it's just we're getting more relevant in the space, and what these guys are doing in the sim is starting to translate in the real world. And that's going to take time. I mean, we got young guys like Michael Conti out front right now. I mean, who knows where the future is going to take him, but this is certainly a great stepping stone for him. And honestly, for anybody that's got a passion for racing, this is where you go before you drop money on a late model, for sure.
Oh, it certainly is, and to me, I think that's really the cool part. You can run a race car, learn your racecraft, learn how to be a racer, win the funds to go buy a physical race car, be it a Legends car, Bandolero, put a late model street stock, whatever, at a NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series track, and you're off and running. It's really one of the coolest things ever. I know you guys are always thinking ahead of NASCAR, trying to get ahead of the curve, and without giving away all the confidentiality stuff that I'm sure you guys have working in the back rooms, What kind of things have you got planned in the future for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series?
You know, we've been already starting to talk about that. I've had conversations with Steve Myers about how we potentially emulate the success that we're having in the Sprint Cup Series with the Chase Grid playoff format. We're looking at some potential enhancements like that to the overall structure of the series. But more than that, iRacing is engaged with our NASCAR R&D Center. And just this afternoon, I saw some emails floating back and forth about looking at 2016 rules packages. So we're working not only to make the season good and even better next year, but already years down the road. So lots of exciting stuff happening.
Well, Nick, we're excited to have you guys involved again and to be sanctioning the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and certainly glad you can join us once again for another finale at Homestead. Sit back, enjoy the race, and I know you're not much of a guy probably to pick who you think can win, but at this juncture, who do you think might be the guy to watch for both a win and a championship?
I think Conti's going to be really hard to beat, but I don't think I can root against somebody with my same name. So Nick Ottinger is going to be my guy. I'd love to see him come from behind and see where the future takes him. And just before I sign off, I want to thank you guys again for delivering such a classy podcast, working so hard to put this together. Tony Gardner, Steve Myers, Otto Savini, everybody at iRacing. And most importantly, Brian Emmerich from Peak. His vision and foresights definitely brought the first ever NASCAR iRacing Series sanctioned sponsor to the real world, and it's, you know, we couldn't do this without him and his support. And really excited to see where the future takes this thing.
Well, we certainly are excited as well, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you at Charlotte at the banquet with the champion. We'll be seeing you at Homestead with the champion, and it's going to be a fun next few weeks for whoever it is that you get to escort around all these places, I'm sure. And thanks again for joining us, and sit back and enjoy the race, Nick. That is Nick Wren, the, I guess, what is his title? Licensing at NASCAR, I know he's involved with. I forgot his exact title, I hate to say that. But from NASCAR here with us on the PSR TV broadcast. And guys, it's just amazing to see, like he and I were just talking, how this series has evolved. And Joe, you look back, it seems like an eternity ago. It's been almost 20 years since the first NASCAR Racing Online series was brought on the scene. Was it 94, 95? And to see what that has turned into, guys, we're spending $10,000 on phone bills each month to race each other and race some of the big stars in NASCAR and what was called the Hawaii service, and now you're racing for $10,000 with corporate sponsorship, championship rings, trips to Miami, everything on the line, and so much more, as you heard him talking about. These guys are going to be testing concepts for the Sprint Cup Series from the sound of it, and that is so cool to know that we get to see it before anybody else.
Tony, I know I often remind people that before they were household names, before Truex was a household name, before Keselowski was a household name, these guys were running online. They were running together, and they were testing their skills in the virtual world before they hoisted the Sprint Cup over their heads, in Brad Keselowski's case. You see that now, and you know, years ago, this was a game. This was just a toy. Now they're taking it seriously. Now this is a training tool. This is a training aid, and I've got a feeling it's only a matter of time before we can say, remember Michael Conti? We remember him when he was on the Peak Antifreeze series way back in the day. It's only a matter of time. That's how sophisticated this is getting. Pass for second as Cody Bias at 27 gets around the 5 of Michael Conti.
And so, yeah, it's certainly a good move for Cody Bias. And it's really, oh, Brian Blackford's got problems. And that will bring the caution out. Tough break for Brian Blackford. And, of course, new paint scheme on that car. But before we mention that real quick, to finish up and wrap up real quick with your point, Joe, it's really neat when I go to Charlotte Motor Speedway and talk to fans. I can start talking about the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series. Some of them look at me like I'm crazy, but it's really cool, the people that get it and they understand, and it's becoming that much more accepted, Tim, as Brian Blackford does bring out the first caution here tonight.
Yeah, Blackford around in corner number 3, and he had some help from Danny Hansen. We're going to see the Segpay Ford get into the Shriners Children's Hospital, number 33, and it definitely didn't help him at all, did the 32 getting into the 33. Tough break for him as we get ready to see some pit stops here. One thing before we do go to pit stops, though, Tony, the fastest driver on the racetrack in that run when we were talking to Nick Rend was Cody Bias. Faster than the leader, Kenny Humpy. He made the move on Michael Conti just as that caution flag flew. He takes position number 2. Bias on the long run might have the car to beat here this evening. We'll see if the 27 can pick up the lead possibly here on pit road. Field coming down to the attention of their crews at the completion of lap 38.
And as we would expect, it is wholesale pit stops, Tim. Ne'er a soul is staying on the banking of the racetrack. I would anticipate 4 tires and fuel for everyone, but a few comers and goers slightly here in the early stages. There will more than likely be some adjustments forthcoming on each one of these automobiles as the leaders now make their way into their stalls. Conti is in. Cody Bias is in. Ray Alfalla is here for service. Same with Nick Ottinger, Chad Lawton. Everybody, it appears, 4 tires and fuel. 2 tires for one car way back in the field as he'll pull out and gain a few spots. That might have been Danny Hansen, but off the pit lane it will be Kenny Humpy winning the race off with Cody Bias, Conti, Alfalla, and Lawton just as they came down pit lane will be how they exit, Joe.
A lot of guys all looking for the same exact service. 4 tires, full tank of fuel. No reason to roll the dice right now. No reason to gamble on anything different. If it works right now, let it work. Make the difficult decisions as they come later on in the race. Top 6 come in or come out the same way they came in. Humpy up front, Bias, Conti, Ray Alfalla, Chad Lawton, your top 5. Kevin King picks up 3 positions as a result of the pit stops. Brad Mayhart drops 2.
We're going to step away and take a pit stop of our own on this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing finale. Your leader is Kenny Humpy, Bias, Conti, Alfalla, Lawton, your top 5. Don't go away. We'll be right back with some more Green Flag Racing.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Green flag back in the air at Homestead, and Kenny Humpy is gone. 5 going to try to take the position off the 27 of Cody Bias. And here comes Ray Alfalla to the inside of Bias. And Bias anticipated that start, Tony, but the leader did not go. And Bias is falling like a stone, 3 wide behind him.
3 wide behind him, nearly involved Nick Ottinger as he just about got squeezed up into the outside safer barrier, was able to find a hole in line on the outside of Adam Gilliland, just ahead of Justin Bolton, and Chris Overland back there just peeking in on the outside of the top 10. So Ottinger is going the wrong direction, and really that, while it's unfortunate to see, Joe, in reality it's probably not much of a surprise. The last few weeks, we've seen this when they got fast early, good speed in qualifying, but as the race wears on, the setup just goes away from underneath the Rheem Camry, and apparently they have not rectified the balance situation on that car this week either. Looks like the same problems persist.
The 05 holding on the outside, but he's still trying to fight with the 8 and the 36. We will come back to them as we look at the 27 of Cody Bias. Now let's jump back to the 05, I'm sorry, of Nick Ottinger. As you see right under him, Adam Gillen, the 8 machine, trying to get that position as the nose under him. Looks like he's got a good advantage for that position. Gillen comes into this race 8th. You'd know he'd like to improve on his position if he can. Those top 10, they get a little something for their efforts. It may not always be cash, but it'll at least be enough to get him started here in iRacing or get him through the offseason.
And I know we do have some payout numbers there. I'm not sure if we throw those up yet or not, but we'll throw those up at some point here this evening as Bolton goes underneath Ottinger once again, and Ottinger's going to go to the back, and you're going to see those payouts fly up on the screen there, Tony. Some cash up front, and in the back half of this, you're going to get some iRacing credit as well, but the big number up top is $10,000 for the champion, plus all the perks that they get as well. Ottinger continues to fall back. He's now behind Mitchell Hunt. And you talked about the balance issue with that race car, Tony. Besides Ottinger, I don't know where the next GFR car is. Busa maybe back in 19th. They just haven't put anything together, at least for Homestead. It's almost like last year with Ray Alfala's team where they struggled.
Almost a carbon copy where Alfala's group just fell apart at the end of the season. Now, mind you, Ray had some bad luck last year, got involved in a couple of accidents late in the year, and facilitated the largest comeback in the history of NASCAR for Tyler Hudson. Speaking of comebacks, Mike Conti making a comeback to the point. Works his way by Kenny Humphrey, getting into turn number 1 to move Mike Conti back to position 1 if you're scoring at home, but got a feeling that battle has not finished yet. Humphrey all over the back bumper of Conti, and again, first few laps, we saw Conti jump out, we saw Humphrey reel him back in that first run of the race. I would anticipate nothing different here on run number 2. But back to Nick Ottinger point, Joe, it just seems like they need some off-season testing. We heard Nick talk about the R&D Center and how NASCAR and iRacing are working very closely with rules packages to mimic them on these cars, number 1, and number 2, even try some concepts. I've got a feeling that nobody will be happier to see that than probably Nick Ottinger. He had this, it seemed like, had this car nailed down. Was fast, winning races, consistent, and in the last month, 2 months, it just has all gone for naught, and everybody else seemed to catch up to him.
The 05 and 36 now doing battle. Ottinger doing everything he can to hold on to that top 10, but he needs to do a little bit better if he's going to compete for the championship tonight. Back up front, not a whole lot of change. Conti, Humpy, Ray Alfala is starting to break away from the rest of the field. All Cody Bias can do is watch as those 3 cars start to head out to the sunset.
The 36 and 55 going side by side. Bolton will pick up that spot and shut the door on Schoenberg. And here's the other thing that we really haven't touched on, Tony. You've got veterans of this series, like a Brian Schoenberg, like a Kevin King. Mitchell Hunt is not in the top 20 in the point standings. Those drivers that are outside that have no realistic shot at getting into the top 20, they're racing for pride tonight. They're racing to get a good momentum boost, per se, for the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. They have nothing to lose. Yes, they are racing some guys. Like if you look at Kevin King's battle right now, he's got Adam Gillen behind him who's running for a top 5 spot in this series. He's locked into the series, but you'd have to believe that Kevin King, who's not locked in, going to race Adam Gillen a little bit harder because he's got nothing to lose. Got to keep that in mind for some of these guys tonight too.
You really do, Tim, and that's one thing I hate about championship races, to be completely honest with you. They're almost the most artificial race of the year. And I'll explain to you what I mean. Any other time of the year, if it's Daytona, Richmond, Darlington, whenever, we go out, we try to win, we do whatever. If we get into somebody, oh well, we got into them, that's racing. You come to the championship race, and all of a sudden this race is put on a pedestal of, oh no, I can't touch the guy, I can't race him too hard, I'll just back off because I don't want to risk crashing the guy, he's racing for 6th. It's the most artificial race in a way that you see all year, and some of these guys take advantage of that because they know that the competition is going to be a little more lenient, and that's a good thing. But sometimes it makes you wonder, if everybody raced a little bit differently, Joe, would we see a little bit different outcome when guys weren't so concerned about ruining somebody's season when they could have done the same thing 16 weeks before at some point, but for some reason this race seems to be the special one.
Well, of course it's special, because all the gravity of the entire year comes down to this. The entire everything comes down to this race and this race alone. And for this is the second consecutive season where the championship has been decided here at Homestead-Miami. So this is a little bit of a cathedral for these guys. Here, there are unspoken rules, there are unspoken norms, and you are expected to abide by them as a gentleman's agreement among gentlemen in the sport of kings.
Up in front, Michael Conti being charged by Kenny Humpy, who was the king at Daytona at the start of the season. Conti trying to take away the crown for the series, and Conti currently leading the 58, but the 58 pressuring him hard. Talked about the top three pulling away from this field, but Cody Bias once again 10 laps or so, Tony, after the green flag flies, and Cody Bias is on it. That 27 trying to win his first race of his career. He's come close a couple times this season. Could this be the night that the Cody Bias Racing number 27, who's sporting some pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, get into victory lane here?
Could be, Tim, and for the very reason I just mentioned. You've got Conti and Alfala who don't want to do anything crazy to put their chances of a championship at risk. They might race him a little bit easier than they would any other time. Maybe not Alfala, because he needs every spot he can get, but I think Conti will, because, again, he's in the catbird seat. He controls his own destiny. As long as he's within, as we said earlier, at least 9 positions of Ray Alfala, the championship's his. No questions asked. And I think if I'm Mike Conti, as fast as my race car seems to be, that's a very comfortable spot to be in. And if Cody Bias wants to give me a little pressure, Joe, to maybe try to win the race, that's fine. I'll just move right over and let him go, because I'm worried about the big picture.
Tell me, where do I fit in the big picture? That is one question Michael Conti does not have to ask tonight, because he knows exactly where he fits in the big picture. And right now, you got to feel like he's just kind of showing off a little bit. He's not racing the 58 incredibly hard as he lets the 58 by, but he is going to race the 2 hard, because he knows how much that position is important to him and more important to Ray Alfala. Remember, Alfala can win the race, but Conti has just to finish 9th or better, I think, is mathematically determined before the race. 10th or better after leading the lap, and now potentially leading the most laps. 10th or better that Conti has to do. So Conti can run his own race tonight. All he has to do is make sure he doesn't wreck out.
Plain and simple, you keep Ray Alfala in sight, you've won the championship, as long as there's not 15, 20 cars in between that sight and that 2 car. But right now, Conti is comfortable. You can see that 2 car pressuring the 5 a little bit. And in this situation, I would say that 5 of Conti may be a little more apt if Alfala puts a little more pressure on him to maybe pull over and let him have the spot, because he knows he can keep him in sight, still win the championship here this evening. The 2 pressuring the 5, the 27 of Cody Bias is closing in on this as well, 0.7 of a second between your top 4 drivers, and it's about 2 seconds back to Chad Lawton, Brad Mahar, Kevin King, and the rest of the running order right now, which all the way back to about your top 15 or 20 or so, Tony, is single file, even though these guys up in front are getting a little frisky.
They are starting to get a little frisky, Tim, but it goes back to earlier. We talked about a car that has to rotate. It's got to have forward bite. You got to let it roll to the center and just ease into the corner. It's a really unique combination to go fast here at Homestead. These guys have it, but in order to do that and maximize it, you kind of have to run almost single file in a way to maximize lap times and just kind of float that car around. When you get next to somebody and try to pass them, it gets a little bit hairy, and as you said, getting frisky up front amongst the leaders while they try to do just that. And to kind of wrap up the point about the point championship as well, Joe, this whole point deal, we heard Nick Wren from NASCAR talk about maybe trying to implement a chase type deal like they have in the Sprint Cup Series here. That would be ideal. I hate point racing more than anybody, both as a competitor and as a fan, because what other sport do you see? I mean, if the Pittsburgh Penguins go to play the Detroit Red Wings in a best-of-7 game, you've got to win 4 games, period. Not, well, we just have to not lose by more than 5 goals each game. No, you have to win. And that's the cool thing I like about the new format for the Chase and Sprint Cup, is it's all about winning and none of this point racing stuff. You've got to perform, and then it takes the artificiality out of the race. You have to race hard, no matter what, put it all on the line.
I wouldn't know anything about that, Tony. I'm in Ohio. 8 in trouble now as Adam Gilliland is in the grass, spinning around with that 8 machine after hitting the wall, hits the infield wall, and that should bring on our second caution of the evening. Check that, it'll stay green. So Adam Gilliland self-spins after looks like just getting loose in the turn, and turns 1 and 2, goes straight in the grass, hits the infield wall, and everyone will stay green, but Adam Gilliland in a world of trouble now.
And that was in that tight little battle within the top 10. Adam Gilliland celebrating his birthday this evening, and that's the last thing I'm pretty sure he wanted to do here this evening after coming in with some high hopes. We got 2 and 3 wide racing now breaking out throughout this pack as these guys start to chase these race cars, Tony. It's past that 10-20 lap mark where these cars really fall off the cliff.
And that's evident by how Cody Viac has caught the top 3 and really how everybody is beginning to spread out throughout the field. Really, how Adam Gilliland just pounded the fence of the back straightaway in the grass. Watch this on-board replay from Nick Ottinger's cockpit. Look how close he was to Adam Gilliland. But this is the thing, when you're in a championship battle, Joe, you've got to go. And sometimes if you're in Nick Ottinger's place, you got to take some chances. And, well, unfortunately for Adam Gilliland, those chances, well, Nick didn't get into him, don't get me wrong, but the chances he was taking to try to hold on to that race car didn't pan out. But I'm sure Nick Ottinger's very, very, very slim hopes as you watch the replay again. Just about got tossed out the window on that one.
Well, if you're Nick Ottinger, you have absolutely nothing to lose tonight. Remember what we just talked about a moment ago, where this is a gentleman's game and all that. If you're Nick Ottinger, that applies to a certain extent, and yet it doesn't. Because guess what? He's got to win. He's got to do everything he can to get in front of the 2 and the 5 if he wants a championship.
Want to talk on this battle for 19th before we get any further, guys. And you're thinking, why 19th? Well, Michael J. Johnson right now sits in position number 20 on the racetrack, sits 21st in the point standings. He's battling Peter Bennett for that spot in the point standings. Peter Bennett not really having the night that he has desired so far, sitting back in position number 26, 6 positions behind, and now 5 positions behind Michael Johnson. That's going to come down to the wire when we talk about this battle for the top 20 to lock yourself into the series for next season. And oh, by the way, Tony, it looks like Tyler Hudson back in this series this evening, running in position number 20. Now, I know he's taken some time off from the series. He's had some team adjustments. He's had a couple of teammates come and go. I don't know if he's had a whole lot of time to work on the setup, or his teammates have had a whole lot of time to work on the setup. He has been doing some racing on the service since the Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge. Not as much in this series, but it looks like possibly they may have airballed on the setup as well, because Hudson, usually where he's running up in the top 5 or so in these races, he's running 20th right now.
Well, you got to remember, Tim, he did start way back outside the top 30, so he is making his way forward. But we talked earlier about drivers moving up from this. Mike Conti may be doing it. We talked about Josh Berry and so many others. Tyler Hudson, case in point, took the money he won from this championship last year, invested into a dirt late model. The dirt racing where he was at just didn't quite go the way he wanted it to. Divested of that investment, and now he just announced, actually today I saw, where he'll be racing in the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series at the Revolution Race Park, the former Monroe Motor Speedway, in a late model. So it's certainly cool again to see this series and see this service, Joe, be able to springboard careers of people and get them connected to the sport to where they don't have to make the investment at first, but then all of a sudden, once they see success, they can continue forward and actually see how good they are before they make the purchases.
Back on the track, Kenny Humphrey still up front. Al Fallon now in second. Cody Bice, Michael Conti doing a little bit of business after the 27 and 2 almost got locked up and started tangoing. The 27 will let the 5 and Michael Conti by. So Conti now in third. Al Fallon in second. Humphrey still up front all by himself. The rest of the field starting the single file out throughout this entire field. And guys, this is where the race gets interesting. Not only because it's where we start filing out, we start seeing what all the cars are made of, but now we start seeing when and how people start making their pit stop decisions.
And the one thing that we saw there was Cody Bias went up to position number 2 and fell back a little bit. Michael Conti now sits in position number 3. He was in second at one point, fell back to 4th, and now back up to position number 3. That was a exciting little scramble there, Tony, because when you look at it, you had Michael Conti that was sliding at a corner number 4 and had that nose pointed towards the wall. You had Cody Bias pointed towards the wall at a corner number 2, and you had Ray Alfala that was just calm, cool, and collected at this point.
And that's part of the success here, Tim, is trying to be calm under pressure and know what you've got in your hand, so to speak. Because if you start to panic, especially in a place like Homestead, where the grip level is at a minimum as you begin to get further in the run, it just leads to problems, continues to compound itself, and that's the last thing you want to have happen. So, Joe, these guys did a fantastic job, really, to be, 73 laps this time by into the race, 1 caution, and holding on to race cars like they are going out of style. Great pieces of driving all around.
Joining us in the booth right now, I've got the honor of introducing the president of iRacing, Tony Garner. Tony, 5 years we complete tonight of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. What an incredible run for you, for iRacing, and for all of the iRacers around the world.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for having me. It seems like just yesterday we kicked off this series, but yeah, it's 5 years and we've come a long way. So PSR TV is doing a great job, and want to thank Brian Emmerich for sponsoring this, and NASCAR. So it's just been awesome, and you know, it's just getting better and better.
Tony, tonight we crown our 5th champion and potentially one of the youngest champions we have ever seen. This really speaks to the potential of this, not only as a simulator, as a training tool, but also as a breeding tool for the next generation of NASCAR superstars.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the leaderboard tonight, I know Kenny, Ray, and Michael, you know, 1, 2, 3 in the race right now. Last I checked here, I'm trying to talk and look at the race, watch the race at the same time. But I know all 3 of those guys just, you know, they love sim racing, they love real world racing, and all 3 of them want to get on a track and have been on tracks, you know, starting, you know, but sim racing sort of kicked it off, and I know those guys have aspirations to get on a real world track and making some hay there doing that. So I'm excited, and look at same thing with last year's champion Tyler Hudson.
Tony Garner joining us in the booth. Tony, we heard from Nick Rend earlier that there's a bright future for sim racing for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. What about iRacing? Can you clue us in a little bit as to what we're going to see here for the next generation of iRacing? What do you guys got working on out there in the lab?
Well, we're working hard. I think we have, you know, a bigger and a more trained staff than we've ever had. So we have a lot in the works. As you know, I don't like to talk too much about it because it is software development, and you can't really talk about timing too much. But you know, the big thing we have coming up is just in a couple weeks. So we're super excited about it. Is driver swaps and team racing, and we're actually going to have. I know you don't do it in the real world, but we're actually going to have. Driver swaps and team racing for official series too. We've been doing it in the office, in the lab, as you say, and I know it's a road racing thing, but we've been having fun doing it on the with the ovals as well. So I think the tight racing and being so close together on the track actually makes team racing and sim racing really fun. So that's a big thing we have coming up. We also have Gateway coming up, a nice short track right on the Illinois-Missouri line. So that's going to be fun, and the V8 Holden Supercars coming in the next build as well.
Certainly sounds like a lot of exciting things coming up here for iRacing. Find out how you can get involved at iRacing.com. Tony, you may not be able to give us a prediction being in your official capacity, y'all, but you got a pick for tonight?
I don't know. Let's try something new. I don't know. I try not to root for anybody, but you know, I think Michael might pull this off. Michael Conti might pull this thing off.
Might be one of the youngest champions yet in NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series history, or NASCAR period, if he can pull this off tonight. Tony Garner, president of iRacing, joining us in the booth. Tony, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure, and we look forward to hearing from you again, hopefully before season number 6.
Absolutely. Keep up the great work, guys. I appreciate it.
Tony Garner, president of iRacing.com, joining us in the booth tonight for the season closer at Homestead-Miami as second, third, and fourth picking up business on track.
Cody Bias just went past Michael Conti for position number 3, and now he'll stalk down car number 2 of Ray Alfala, and this is the sweet spot on the run, per se, for this Cody Bias Racing. Number 27 closing in now on the 2, and getting a little bit closer to the second place position. Bias last time by at a 31.69, leader at a 31.63, and Ray Alfala at a 31.73. So the 27 is one of the faster cars in the racetrack consistently, Tony, as he looks to the inside of the 2 of Ray Alfala down the back straightaway. Can he get there before 3? Yes, he can. He's looking to the inside of the 2. They're going to be side by side through 3 and 4.
So Bias trying to work his way forward. Alfala trying to hold on to position 2. Off turn 4, again, you see close quarters as Bias right there. Now, if you're Mike Conti, you're just praying these guys do not slip and have an accident that takes you out with it. That's the worst thing you could have happen, because then you really open the door for Nick Ottinger. It is a slim hope for Ottinger, but I guess if you're going to get in a crash, if you're Mike Conti, you really hope Ray Alfala comes with you, because then you know your closest competition, and really the biggest threat is going to be right there in the same boat as you are. But Bias gets to the spot, and look at all the racetrack there from the exit turn 4, Joe. Not a single bit of asphalt uncovered from top to bottom here at Homestead.
Meanwhile, green flag pit stop starting here now on pit road at Homestead-Miami. Michael J. Johnson, 21st in points, trying the stop on lap 83. 4 tires, full tank of virtual Sunoco fuel. He is down and away. It looks like got a couple other drivers now coming down pit road. Tyler Laughlin coming off, and it looks like it's going to be Brian Day not going down the attention of his crew, as well as the 79 or 19, I should say, of Mitchell Hunt. Green flag pit stops are starting, guys. When are the leaders going to throw their hands out the window?
Chris Overland, I believe, in the 47 is down pit road, and he's one of the first in the top 12 or so to really throw the hand out. 47 will come down to the attention of his crew. Humpy continues to lead this thing. He'll close up on the Shriners Children's Hospital, number 33, Brian Blackford. We'll talk about Blackford more in a few moments' time as he's about to go 1 lap down. But Bias, Alfala, and Conti, yes, they were running for position number 2, Tony. They got company. Michael Conti's got Chad Lawton directly behind him, and then Kevin King is there, Brad Mahar is there, and then it's about a second back or so to Justin Bolton. So they've caught 3 more cars in this battle for second.
It's really amazing, Tim, because all of a sudden these guys jump out. As we've got 1 car around on the back straightaway. That's Michael Johnson. A caution is out. That changes everything for the guys that came down pit road. Luckily, none of the leaders had come down, so that will not affect any of their running positions. But Mike Johnson had just been on pit road. Cold tires, it looks like, biting him in the tail, as that will put us under caution number 2 for the day. But to finish the thought, yeah, these guys jumped out to a lead early, and Lawton, King, Mahar, all those guys have reeled them in. Pretty impressive, no less, to do that after having 40, 50 laps almost on the tires, Joe, as already pit lane is open and the field is barreling down the access road towards the attention of their crews.
Kenny Humpy will lead them down, and he will lead down everybody on that lead lap. Cody Bias, Ray Alfala, Michael Conti, Chad Lawton, Kevin King, Brad Mahar, Justin Bolton, Nick Ottinger, all coming down to the attention of their crews as they cruise down pit road. 45 miles per hour the speed. Kenny Humpy leading them down. Cody Bias, Ray Alfala, all eyes though on what Michael Conti and Ray Alfala do when they come to the attention of their crews. And we anticipate 4 tires, full tank of fuel for everybody involved here. Will that be the case? That is a $64,000 question. 27 overshoots his stall, gets too close to the wall. Perfect in for Michael Conti though. Left side's up, or right side's up on the sim pedals machine. It'll be left sides this time around. Yes, it will be. 4 tires stop for Conti, 4 tires stop for Bias, 4 for Humpy, and now everyone's jumping down and away. It'll be Michael Conti winning the race off pit road. Humpy second, Alfala third, Lawton fourth, Brad Mahar your top 5.
Really slow stop for Kenny Humpy compared to what he had the first time. They were lights out when they came down onto pit road, and Humpy will now come out in position number 2. We have 80 laps to go now in this race, just past the halfway point. So this is where these drivers will begin to shine. And I believe we are getting ready to step away for just a few moments' time. These guys just took a pit stop, so we will as well. Grab your drinks, refreshing your snacks. This is going to be good. The final 80 laps of the season coming up next.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing. Welcome back to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. Your leader off those pit stops is Michael Conti, Kenny Humpy second, Ray Alfala third, Chad Lawton fourth, and Brad Mahar fifth. Scored the last time by. We only have 2 retirees so far this evening, Adam Gilliland and Andrew Fash the third, both out of this race. 33 drivers on the racetrack right now, and 2 drivers are 1 lap down. That is Brandon Jaburko and Michael Johnson. And Johnson running for that top 20 in this series. Peter Bennett right now on the lead lap in position number 26. Brian Day is 29th. Thomas Lewandowski is up in position number 11th. They're on the good side of the bubble. Rob Ackley on the other side of the bubble, who really needs a great run this evening to lock himself into the series for next season, runs in position number 23. So that top 20 battle is still far from decided. Michael Conti continuing to lead laps, and if he continues to do so, he'll try to rack up another bonus point for leading the most laps here this evening. Green flag is back out. The 5 is gone. The 2 trying to follow him through on that inside of the 58 of Kenny Humpy. Those 3 have been the class of the field this evening, along with Cody Bias, who Tony had a bad stop, restarts in 8th. 258 going at it here.
Oh yes, Kenny Humpy and Ray Alfala, and Ray knows that the vice is tightening. He's got to do something to at least get Mike Conti off the board, to at least get an extra point in his column for that matter. You talk about Mike Conti right now leading the most laps. Ray Alfala has led, guess how many? Yeah, 0. Goose egg. And if you're going to win this championship and you're Ray Alfala, you've got to be up front. You've got to be leading. You've got to be in a position to win. And the way the cautions are falling, the way the runs are going, Ray Alfala is going to need some help, Joe. Whatever form that help comes in, whether it is a caution flag, divine intervention, something, Ray Alfala needs a little something else, because I think right now Mike Conti is in the catbird seat when it comes to this. Well, not only the championship, but the race as well.
How do I say this? For Ray Alfalla, the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon may be the only thing saving him if he can get around Michael Conti. Conti came here with a mission today, guys. His mission was to win that championship, was to be the youngest NASCAR champion, to be the guy to beat. And so far, he's not wrong.
And Kenny Humpy in the number 58 car has a little bit of a handful coming off that last corner. Chad Lawton and Kevin King behind him in 4th and 5th place right now. And yes, Conti is very strong, Tony, but it looks like his stronger suit is more on these short runs. Conti will get out, Conti will get a good lead, and then it seems like he falls back a little bit. The only two cars that have maybe a little more on the long run, the 58 of Humpy and the 27 of Cody Bias. Bias right now mired in traffic behind his teammates, Brad Mahar and Justin Bolton, as the 13 pulls over for the 27. So Bias will move up one more spot, and now look at his teammate Justin Bolton for position number 6. But it looks like Humpy and maybe Bias are good or better on the long runs. It looks like Mike Conti might be just a wee bit better on the short run right now. Ray Alfalla is just consistent.
And Kenny Humpy is kicking all their tails. What do you have, a 4-second lead the last yellow, Tim? That's great if you go on the long run, but they're good on the long run. Kenny Humpy is extraordinary on the long run. That 58 car will not fire to save its life in the first 8 or 10 laps, and you wait a handful of circuits and he is golden. Nothing and nobody seems to be able to stop Kenny Humpy. The question now, though, I think is, can everybody make it the rest of the way on the same number of stops? The answer to that question, I believe, is yes. We're not even close. But the only question is going to be, do you short pit? Do you wait for a caution? How do you play this out, guys? Because with 80-some laps to go, or just shy of 80 laps to go, we went green. That's less than 40 laps a segment. That's very doable. But again, do you short pit if you're Ray Alfalla to try to take a gamble? I mean, right, the way things are, it's not. He's not going to win a championship as it is, Joe. He's got to do something.
Well, and that whatever he does is going to very well be how his championship season ends, how his championship run ends. He was in a almost this exact same situation last year, Tony, when he was running for the championship, when he was running up front, and the fuel mileage gamble just didn't work for him in the end. So you're right, unless he does something, unless he does anything out there, he could be the bridesmaid for the second year running.
When you look at the strategy, though, these last 2 green flag pit stops have been broken up by cautions, or at least the green flag pit stop we were about to see was broken up by a caution with Michael J. Johnson losing it a lap after he came off of pit road. You'd have to believe that if you're a guy up in front, you might wait for a mistake for one of those guys to happen, or something to happen there. As the 29 and 27 are blocking each other down the back straightaway. The 29 of King will let the 27 go on the outside, give him a little bump going into the corner, and it nearly stacks up the rest of the field. And there's another thing we were talking about earlier, those guys that are have nothing to lose, Tony. Kevin King, nothing to lose. Cody Bias fighting for a top 10 spot in the point standings to try and get a little bit back out of this season. And now Justin Bolton in car number 36 up on the back bumper of the 29 and Kevin King. That was almost big for that number 27, and also Justin Bolton as well, trying to get into the top 10 in this series at the end of the year. So these guys got a lot to fight for, and they're definitely doing it here.
Oh, they are going at it hammer and tong, Tim. That's the understatement of the night, because, yeah, if you want to have anything at this level of competition, you don't get it again until February, and that's assuming you make it back into the series or you're locked into the series. The guys that have to run the Pro Series, I don't necessarily know that they want to do that. In some other cases, it might be the last shot they have to put in a good impression in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. The competition gets harder and harder each year to make it into this tour, and once you're out, there's no guarantee you're going to get back in. So there could be a little bit of pride on the line and at stake here, as well as Bolton gets underneath of Kevin King. Also in the mix of that as well, it looks like Brad Mahar, and look who else, Nick Ottinger, just on the tail end of the top 10. Again, that Toyota not up to full song where he wants it to be here tonight.
Let's go through a bumper of that number 36 machine. That is Justin Bolton, as he's got a lot of drivers behind him looking to pick up some position. Brad Mahar, Nick Ottinger, the 29, and Kevin King, Alex Warren, all looking for something to happen. In front of them, though, Cody Bias, who does have a little bit to run for tonight. Cody Bias came in tonight's race 10th, tied with Byron 3-wide Daly for position number 9. With Adam Gilman retired, Cody Bias has the potential of jumping from 10th to 8th.
And Byron had a last-minute commitment to attend to this evening. Byron not here this evening, so he will surrender 10th place in the point standings. Had a last-minute commitment he had to attend to. So Byron not here, but I'm sure the Focus Plus team wants to be here. And I know he'd want to thank his sponsors, Focus Plus and Driven Steering, and all the other guys that are helping him throughout this season. Parker Kligerman along board with that number 93. Had a pretty good season when he looks back at it, Tony, but missing the finale. I know he's listening to us and watching us on iRacing Live and keeping track of what happens. And his teammate, Ray Alfala, right now running in second, but being pressured by Kenny Humpy. This is where that time that 58 car starts to get a little bit better, and he's creeping in on the 2.
Yeah, it's almost like clockwork, Tim. I would not be surprised if they had not turned a screw on that car all night long, just bolted 4 tires on it, put fuel in the tank, and said, go get him, Kenny. It's not very often you see a driver bookend a season, but Kenny Humpy is in prime position to do it, winning Daytona, and it looks like having the best car, at least in contention to win here at Homestead. Everything in between, though, was kind of lackluster. I mean, there was a race suspension in the middle, there were some horrible runs, there were a couple of his races, it seems like, and now all of a sudden the last 2 races, Kenny Humpy is back to his old self again. It makes you wonder what kind of missed opportunity that bunch maybe is looking at, Joe, at the end of 2014, and maybe some sort of shot in the arm for 2015, that they can take this run and catapult themselves into the next season, 4 or 5 months from now.
Well, you have to think that they've learned quite a lot from their inaugural season here in the series, and you know that they should be locked in for next year. Taking a look, Kenny Humpy squarely in 16th right now. If he wins tonight, he'll pick up some positions. He's squarely in for next season. You know, you don't want to say chalk it up to next season, wait till next season, but that's the situation they're in. And for an inaugural run, to win Daytona, to be in competition throughout the season, to have 2 top 5s, 7 top 10s, great inaugural run for Kenny Humpy, and I've got a feeling the future is going to open up a lot more for not only him, but his entire team.
And when you look at that top 20 battle right now, we mentioned Kenny Humpy there as we watch Cody Bias work on Chad Lawton for position number 4. Michael Johnson and Rob Ackley are the only 2 that can really upset the apple cart per se, with Ackley running 25th right now and Michael Johnson running 1 lap down in 32nd. Landon Harrison's having a decent run in position number 17 this evening, but he needs 27 points on Peter Bennett in order to pass Peter Bennett and hope those other 2 have bad luck, as well as the 27 continues to look at that 27 for position, or 26, check that for position number 4. It's a long road to hoe for Landon Harrison. He's in position number 17. Had a great run a couple weeks ago at Darlington, but might be a little too late. He might need to get back into that NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series to make his claim for 2015.
And sometimes that's what you have to do. You have to take a step down to make a step back up. Look at drivers like Regan Smith in the Nationwide Series. Had a 2nd or 3rd tier cup ride and did okay. I mean, won a race. But he wasn't spectacular the way he probably thought he should be. Got a nationwide ride with Junior Motorsports, and now he's searching again for a cup ride if the right opportunity presents itself. And because of his performance there, he's got the confidence and he's got the resume to say, hey, I can do this, and now somebody else will take a look at Regan Smith, I'm sure, and try to put him in a cup car. And speaking of putting cup cars in places, here goes Kenny Humpy, as we predicted, right by Mike Conti into the lead. And Joe, they just about made contact a half a lap ago in turns 1 and 2, and for a moment, I thought Mike Conti was about ready to go for a ride up the hill.
That is something Mike Conti cannot afford tonight, and I've got a feeling he will do everything in his power, including, but not limited to, relinquishing the lead just to make sure that doesn't happen. Remember, points are the #1 factor here. This is a long-run race. Conti has to be in it to win it, and so far he's doing real good, but everything can change in the blink of an eye.
And we're 55 laps to go this time by for Kenny Humpy, Conti, the rest of the field, and within 5 laps or so, that's when that pit road window opens per se. Tony, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. These drivers have to make one more pit stop to make this race to the end with the fuel that is in these race cars. And if this does go green to the end, we'll have to see if anybody does try to throw a Hail Mary and try to pick up a couple positions on pit strategy, as Chris Overland in car number 47, he and the 19 are side by side. Mitchell Hunt makes the move on the 47 for that position, as Conti is right now running in position number 2. Not a whole lot of pressure from behind from Ray Alfala, about 0.7 of a second, as Overland loses a position, got Alex Scribner behind him, and that 47 of Chris Overland, 10 points checked that between him and Jake Sturgis for 5th place in the standings.
Oh, hello. Watch out. Just fell out. Never mind. Here we got cars going all over the place and all up and down the racetrack. Things getting a little hairy, to say the least. And unofficially, speaking of points, guys, about, 14 markers, I think, rough calculation now, between the 5 of Mike Conti and the 2 of Ray Alfala. Mike Conti can rest very easily, I think, knowing that. And as this race continues, I think Mike Conti knows that he just keeps it between the walls and just does not do anything stupid. This is his championship to win. And I think every sound in the world is being made by that race car and by that computer, I'm sure, Joe, sitting next to him. We hear about drivers hearing things in race cars in the physical world, but I guarantee you every light on that modem, every fan on that computer, every little thing is going through Mike Conti's head right now, and we just saw one driver derp out, as we call it. Mike Conti's hoping that's about the only thing that doesn't, well, not the only thing, he's hoping that doesn't happen to him, because right now I think that's about the only thing that could happen, shy of some major catastrophe on track, to separate him from a date with destiny.
Mitchell Hunt was the driver that ended up getting into the grass and losing it. Goes nose first into the wall, ends his night. Let's go ahead and go back, though, to the 29 of Kevin King, currently running position number 9. Alex Warren behind him, and Nick Ottinger up in front of him. Kevin King running a part-time season this season, but he's done it incredibly well, and every time Kevin King competes, he's out there to win. Picked up one win on the season already, and it looks like he's got a lot more ahead of him if he wants.
And you look at that 82 of Alex Warren right now, running in position number 9. We look back on the 2014 season. He was the driver that bested Matt Busa to win at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That was a very memorable finish, and one of the most memorable finishes in the history of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. And Warren trying to finish the season within the top 10 here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. The Computer Pros number 82 looks up on the 29 of Kevin King. That is a battle for position number 8. And Warren, after having a couple of seasons, Tony, that were a little uncertain, Warren, the former Pro Series champion, will not have to go through that Pro Series as long as he can hold it together here. Yes, there is a mathematical chance he could fall out, but it's looking like he is probably going to lock himself in with this run, at least if it finishes the way it is currently going.
Yeah, you run the top 10, and Carway got problems. Caution is out. And looks like issues on the back straightaway for Brandon Hoff in the 23 car. Problems off turn 2 again, all by himself. And that hospital wobble got him. Try to get it on the throttle a little bit too hard, a little bit too easy. But Brandon Hoff around off turn number 2. And, well, I don't want to say anything in particular because it gets real slick there, Joe. But I wonder if Clint Boyer spotting for Brandon Hoff right now.
I wouldn't go that far. Now, normally I might agree with you in that situation, but I'm not going to go that far right now, and I'll tell you why. This is the 3rd time we've seen somebody lose it coming off of turn number 2. This is the 3rd time we've seen somebody get loose driving it off there, and that's where it gets crazy. Speaking of crazy, pit road getting crazy as Kenny Humpy leads him down for the 3rd time tonight.
Humpy is going to come down and get service on his race car. 121 will be completed here. These guys should be able to make it on fuel. It is under the 50-lap window. It's just a matter of who gets some track position here. Humpy down to his box, clean in, bias in front of him, clean in. 2 tires going on the right-hand side of the Chevrolet SS for Kenny Humpy. 4 tires going on that race car. Will he be the first one off pit road? Down and away, and he will win the race off pit road. And look at Chad Lawton behind him. He's going to go from 5th up to 4th, check that, up to position number 2.
Yeah, Chad Lawton's crew, stellar stop on the par of the 26 bunch, sub 14-second pit stop unofficially. And Mike Conti, I think it's the worst stop we've seen out of his crew all season long. But again, good news. Ray Alfala lost a spot or 2, and Mike Conti's on his back bumper. He's well within sight, and if he can reach out and touch him, that means a championship and a trophy and a big check are going to be his in the next 47 laps.
Actually, Tony, Ray Alfala did not lose any position on that stop. Came in 3rd, will come out 3rd. Conti, the big loser, though, going from 2nd to 4th. Cody Bias remains in 5th. Kevin King picks up 2 points. He'll move up from 8th to 6th. Justin Bolton, Alex Warren, Brad Mahar all losing position on that stop. It's going to set up a very entertaining restart.
Adam Gilliland is behind the pace car right now. He is 53 laps behind the pace, and I guess he's going to get one back here and get a wave around. And Tony, I guess he must have went to pit road. It is his birthday after all. They told us there was birthday cake in the hauler. I guess he went down and had a little birthday cake, got back in the race car, and now he is he's running for Pride right now. And I guess he just saw Mitchell Hunt get into the wall. And there are 40-something laps left in this race. He can pass Mitchell Hunt. That'd be the only one that he could do if he can complete the rest of the laps on this racetrack. So Gilliland out here for a little bit of pride and celebrate his birthday, have a little bit of fun too, I guess.
Yeah, you never know what that extra spot might mean once all the points shake out. I think it's going to be huge the way things are going, at least not in a good way for for Adam Gilliland. But hey, one spot is one spot, and that's certainly something I'm sure he is looking at. And you know what, might as well get down pit road. I'm sure Harry Hogg and the boys are having some ice cream, but he's having enough problem getting around the racetrack as it is, Joe.
Hey, maybe the cake and ice cream add a little bit of ballast to the car. You never know. Crazier things have happened.
I think he already has enough ballast in that race car as it is right now. Adam Gilliland and Cody Bias and that team have been working hard on the setup all week long, and it's obviously showing because Cody Bias is running within the top 5 for most of this race. There goes the 8 car, takes a wave around the pace car, and we'll go 1 to go here. Their teammate Justin Bolton's running in the top 10. Their teammate Alex Warren's running in the top 10. Brad Mahar's running in the top 10. Even Trey Eidson right now running 13th, knocking on the door of the top 10. And Adam Gilliland was within the top 10 when the misfortune happened and he ended up spinning his race car. So that's one of the other stories we really should note as well. Cody Bias Racing at the end of the season has been running really well. They just haven't really been able to get into victory lane without that win that Alex Warren does have at New Hampshire. Tony, they haven't really been able to turn that into a victory. They've been close a couple times, though.
They have, and it's kind of the same story of Kenny Humpy. Came out of the box like gangbusters at Daytona. Thought they were going to be a threat for the championship, threats for races to win, and all of a sudden they just sort of fell off the map and weren't much of a threat until, again, the last few races of the season. If they could somehow get that full season put together next year, they might very well be a threat for the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series Championship powered by iRacing, Joe.
15 races makes for a very long season for these guys, and at the end of the 15 races, that's the test of how well successful your season was. Green flag back in the air. Kenny Humpy can't get the run on Chad Lawton that he's been able to earlier. 44 to go now in the race. Humpy in front. Chad Lawton second. Alfala trying to pass Conti. Conti's going to let him single file through the top 6.
These guys tiptoeing about mid-pack. Brian Schoenberg on the outside. A couple of other drivers there trying to make sure that they don't get into the driver in front of them. They're trying to get up to the front of the field. It is late. in this race or getting late in this race, and late in the season they want every single position that they want to. Schoenberg is side by side with Thomas Lewandowski back here around position number 10, and PJ Sturgis coming to the front as well. And there's Trey Eidson in car number 6 trying to pick up a couple of spots here on this restart, but up in front it continues to be car number 58 of Humpy. Lawton holding his own in second. Then the two championship contenders going to do a little tango back here for position number 3.
Yeah, Mike Conti getting a little racy, and that car seems to be at the moment a little quicker to the center than Ray Alfalla is, but not quick enough to where he can get alongside of him. And for once, all race long now, Kenny Humpy has to pass no one after a pit stop, Joe. And there he goes. He's starting to pull out a little bit over Chad Lawton. Starting to think that maybe this is the 58's race to lose because nobody has had anything for him as we get late in the run. The only problem we're going to have, I think, Joe, is if we get a caution with, say, 10, 15 laps to go, how many people take 2 tires? What kind of chaos do we see? I mean, does Ray Alfalla take 2 tires in that situation just to try to get ahead of Mike Conti? Oh, what kind of drama a late race caution would bring.
And late race cautions are very, very plausible in this situation. Everybody's been tiptoeing tonight. Everyone's been showing a little bit more respect tonight. But when push comes to shove, when championships are on the line, when wins are on the line, some of that might go out the window. It really depends where everyone settles down at and where everybody ends up at. All I can say is wait and see.
And I think it all depends how late a caution does come, if there is a caution at the end of this race. We've seen races in the series where cautions do breed cautions, and we've seen some races where these races have gone green to the finish and the checkered flag. So we'll see how this plays out. Top 5 single file right now. 13 putting some pressure on the 36 back here around 8th place. But other than that, everybody's single file and trying to log some laps right now. Humpy is away by 3 car lengths over Chad Lawton, who has Ray Alfalla on his tail, battling for position number 2.
And really, that's one of the best battles on the entire racetrack, Tim, as now Alfalla comes off turn 2 and just peeked to the inside, couldn't quite get the run on Chad Lawton. You should ride on board the sim pedals forward of Ray Alfalla, and you see just how close he gets to the back bumper of Chad Lawton, the exit of turn number 4. Once more, peeks to the inside, but nothing there. And if you look behind him, you use those eyes in the back of your head, you'll see that 5 of Mike Conti still there, looming large in the mirror of Ray Alfalla. And again, Joe, not what Ray wants to see. He needs something to happen to have any shot at a championship right now.
All the 5 has to do is stay in front of the 2, or stay within draw distance of the 2. Has to stay within focus of the 2. That's all he has to do to win the championship. Remember, Michael Conti understands he has a champion. The championship is his to lose, not to give to Ray Alfalla. So all he has to do is stay within driving distance, stay within going distance of the 2, and he's got himself a championship. Easier said than done, of course.
And we still have some laps in this race as well to play out, so if something does happen to the 2 or something does happen to the 5, could get fairly interesting. But right now, the first 131 laps in this race, those guys have been pretty rock solid. Michael Conti's led a lot of laps this evening. Ray Alfalla has yet to get out front and lead a lap, but I'm sure that is on his mind. But right now it's pulling away with Kenny Humpy. It's getting bigger every single lap, as here comes Cody Bias to the inside, and here comes Ray Alfalla to the inside. Alfalla on the 26, Bias on the 5, and they will both pick up positions. Alfalla to position number 2 and Bias to position number 4. And here comes Lawton back down, crossover move on the 2, the 26 car. Gonna go back to position number 2, or at least try to here.
Always going to try, no doubt, and Ray's going to not give him a whole lot of room. He knows what that position means, and he's going to hold him down, pinch him off the best he possibly can, and they will continue to battle wheel to wheel into turn number 3. And I think, personally, this end a little bit harder to race in than turns 1 and 2. Ray's going to be forced to give up the spot. Now he's under fire from Cody Bias, so just when you thought maybe, it was very slim, but maybe Ray Alfalla was making some progress, not going to happen, because he loses a spot. Now Mike Conti makes up the same spot that he just lost, so not good news for Ray Alfalla. By the way, Joe, just happened to realize Ray Alfala, this is kind of cool. For the first year of eligibility for all three of the major manufacturers in NASCAR racing, Ford, Chevrolet, and Toyota, each one has a player in this championship battle. All three manufacturers represented here at Homestead in the title fight. Unfortunately, I think the Toyota with Nick Ottinger might have been at a disadvantage once we started with his gap to the front runners, but still, nonetheless, cool for Toyota and Ford have a shot at a championship in their first year of eligibility.
Always very exciting to see that parity. That parity, you know, it's something really cool to see as we continue to race along here. That this really is meritocracy. Every driver has an opportunity. Every manufacturer has an opportunity. The only question is, how bad do you want it?
And when you look at everything here, Joe, something else to keep in mind here. We talked about the two Camrys going at it for third and fourth. Chad Lawton right now runs second in this race. Nick Ottinger runs back in position number 10. There's 16 points coming in with Ottinger up on Lawton. Should something happen to Nick Ottinger and Chad Lawton were to get up here and possibly win this race or finish where he is, that could very well change for position number 3 in the standings as well. We talk about Ottinger being involved in the championship hunt, yes, but he's closer to losing position number 4 than he is to gaining position number 1 when you look at the championship standings. And right now, Ottinger, if he finishes where he is, he's locked up position number 3. But he can't really afford, Tony, to lose a whole lot more from where he is right now, sitting in position number 10. He's got Lewandowski behind him. He can lose 1 or 2 more spots. But if he starts falling back like he did on the first run, that might throw up a red flag for that 05 team.
It could, especially with Chad Lawton running second right now. They really had a surge as of late. They were a championship contender once the drop race was taken into account. Really, they've been solid all year. They just haven't been spectacular all year. In the last couple of races, there has been a little bit of extra fire in the belly of Chad Lawton and company. Unfortunately, a little too little, too late. But again, heading into 2015, that could be the year for Chad Lawton. And if he runs like this all season next year, it could be the 26 we're talking about 360 some odd days from now.
But we're not talking about 360 some days from now. We are talking about tonight, where Lawton is holding off the 2 of Ray Alfala, the 5 of Michael Conti, and a whole bunch of other drivers hungry for position. Now here comes the 5. Got a run on the 2 of Alfala. A test for both the championship drivers. They go into 1 and 2.
Side by side as they work through the corner. The 27 of Cody Bias closes in for the position. The 5 has the run on the inside. Alfala tries to take it on the out. The 27 of Bias to the inside, trying to follow the 5 through. The 2 of Alfala may lose the position on the 5. 27 may try to get in here too.
Yeah, Cody Bias is trying for all it's worth to make his way forward. He'd love nothing more than at least be on the podium, so to speak, if he can't get to victory lane here tonight. And he's got to get by the 2 championship contenders to make that happen. But really surprised, well, I guess I really shouldn't be surprised, Joe. Ray Alfala racing Mike Conti.
5 has the run on the inside. Alfala tries to take it on the end.
Fuck yeah, 27 of Bias to the inside, trying to follow the 5.
Come on. It's what you got to do whenever you're racing a guy is you just need to not give him a whole lot of room, and it almost kind of intimidates him a little bit, Joe.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things going on the track, guys. And just so much that we can't even focus on. So much that can be done here on track. It's still a lot of racing left to go.
Up in front, Ray Alfala continues to chase down Mike Conti, and yes, you got some battles here. Kenny Humpy's almost out by a second. It's about 8 tenths or 9 tenths between him and Chad Lawton as Michael Conti begins to close in a little bit on this 26. You got some tight battles here throughout this field. Nick Ottinger has caught Alex Warren for position number 9. Keep a half eye on that as they go down the back straightaway. Got a couple of tight battles in between here as well. Tony, this one's far from over, unless you're maybe Kenny Humpy. Humpy right now seems to have this thing on lock as we come up to that 20 lap to go mark, in a couple laps, Humpy seems to be the driver to beat right now at Homestead.
He does. And really, from what we saw earlier, Tim, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, as we said, they've come on strong here late, and it looks like Humpy is going to bookend the season. But the ultimate deal is going to be behind him, and Kenny Humpy he looks just like Mike Conti did at Darlington. That's how dominant this car seems to be.
2 and 27 still doing battle on the track for position number 4 out there. And really, this has turned into a race between Kenny Humpy and the rest of the field. 2, 3, 4, and 5 battling for the scraps that Kenny Humpy is leaving behind.
And Chad Lawton right now, the leader of the scraps per se, Joe, as he runs in position number 2. Conti, Alfala, Bias. And you know what? If you look back here, Kevin King's not too far off the pace. Justin Bolton's having an awesome run in position number 7. He's not too far off the pace. When you look back from position 2 all the way back to, let's say, position number 10 back to Ottinger, there's about a second and a half or so between second and position number 10. A single file line right now. As the 29 gets a little bit high off of corner number 2, looks like Bolton trying to get to the inside of the 29. Nothing doing there off corner number 2, but keep a half eye on some of these guys to pick up some quick passes here in these remaining laps of this race, because we are coming down to the final 21 laps of the 2014 season.
Yeah, Tim, and that's when we're going to see guys starting to make these final desperation moves, what they need to get these spots. They've got team members spotting for them and telling them what they need to do, and if they're not quite where they need to be, there might be some desperation moves we see before it's all said and done. And Joe, you know as well as anybody, you don't want to be in a situation where you don't necessarily control your own destiny here, and you've got to make some desperate moves. At a track like Homestead with the worn out pavement, the lack of grip, making some of those maneuvers is a little difficult here.
You know, that's why I'm not opposed to the move Nick Ottinger's pulling right now. Nick Ottinger hanging around in the top 10. He knows that the 5, the 2, the 27 are all battling tooth and nail for position. In fact, here comes Cody Bias around the 2 of Ray Alfalo once again for position number 4. So I think, actually, if anybody, Nick Ottinger's got a good strategy going on right now. He knows that he puts himself in jeopardy for potentially nothing if he makes a maneuver, wrecks out. Instead, I like his maneuver now. Just hang back in the top 10, and maybe, just maybe, the leaders will take themselves out, leaving him as heir apparent to the championship.
And they're going to have to get in it and get busy very quickly if that is to happen. And if I'm Ottinger, I have to kind of believe, if I'm that team, Matt Holden and the whole Ream Camry team, I have to kind of think, okay, Chad Lawton's running second right now. You might have to keep a half eye on him trying to take away third place as opposed to taking away the championship if you are Ottinger. On the other side of that, though, Conti has been real good in these last few laps, and he's closing in on Chad Lawton. Cody Bias has also been real good these last few laps. Last time by for Bias, 31:31 lap time, 31:34 for Conti, and a 31:36 for Chad Lawton. Not a whole lot of a difference when you look at it. And Humpy turned to 31:31 the last time by as well. So it looks like Cody Bias might have a quick race car as well. I think we're going to have ourselves a dandy, Tony. If this thing stays green, we're going to have ourselves a dandy for position number 2.
Oh, we already have ourselves a barn burner for second spot. Really, we've got, what, 5, 6, 7 cars all right there in touch with the runner-up spot. Not quite enough to throw the championship if, say, Conti were to get punted to the back of that group, but certainly enough to have one heck of a show for position number 2 here at Homestead and the runner-up honors. But Chad Lawton, you know, after his season, wants something to hang his hat on, and if it can't be the win, a second here at Homestead would certainly be something he's proud of. But Joe, looks like Cody Bias, that car starting to get a little bit better through the center than everybody else, or everybody else losing something through the center. Bias able to carry a little bit more speed. That right now working to his advantage.
Certainly working to his advantage, but might not be enough to catch Kenny Humpy. Less than 20 laps to go. Kenny Humpy, 1.2 seconds last time by over the rest of the field. 15 to go at this juncture. 1.3 seconds over the rest of the field. Longest stint on the race, 49 laps under the green. The question is, who's going to push it?
So as we continue on here, the 26th, the 5, the 27th, the 2 of Ray Alfala is barely hanging on here as well, about 3/10 between the 27 and the 2, and then Kevin King is back there as well, starting to pressure the 2 a little bit of Ray Alfala. Could this be the time where Ray Alfala's car and the handling goes away onto the main performance sim pedals number 2? And is this the swan song per se for the championship hopes? Because it looks like Tony Ray Alfala's falling back here a little bit, and he's got Justin Bolton and Kevin King behind him and closing in.
It's a moot point though now, Tim. Ray is nowhere in front of Mike Conti. Doesn't matter. He's already behind him in the standings, behind him on the track. I think he's probably driven the wheels off that car to where there's nothing left, and he is really just sliding around trying to survive right now and maybe just hold on to the second spot, which might be a little easier. Well, I think it's pretty much a lock barring any sort of major catastrophe in his part, given how many cars are on the lead lap and where Nick Ottinger's running. So I think Alfala's hopes are now toast, barring a late race caution. He might try something crazy, Joe, but I think it's pretty much over as far as the championship's concerned.
Unofficial count right now being handed to us from the stats department, 16 points between Michael Conti and Ray Alfala if the race were to end right now under this situation. So, both caution flag on the field as soon as I say that. Big trouble on track.
Tyler Hudson involved in this one to bring out the caution flag on the back straightaway. Stephen Gilbert is also in the grass, but the 01 car is heavily tore up. The Ford Fusion, sponsored by Peak, got into it with Stephen Gilbert off of corner number 2, and Tony, it looks like Stephen Gilbert may have pushed that number 1 car, and it looked like Tyler may have been fighting the handle off it anyway off corner number 2.
Yeah, Tim, he got a heck of a run on it coming off turn 2, and I think Tyler bobbled slightly, and Steven didn't really expect to be that close to the rear bumper on the straightaway, and just barely got into him, and that's what sent both of those cars around into the inside wall. But, oh boy, things are about ready to get crazy. If I'm Ray Alfala, well, never mind. I stay on the racetrack because that's what everybody else just did. And, well, looks like about, 13th on back, Joe, coming down pit lane. This could really throw a wrench into things, as different as 30-lap tires would be versus fresh tires versus what's up front.
Well, it's certainly going to make things very, very interesting, as we should probably, restart around scoring lap 161, 162-ish. I imagine about 162-ish. We'll start rescoring things here. So, well, we'll see. But in any event, it's going to make it very, very interesting. We're going to have between a 7 to 8 lap dash for the championship, and you've got 2 championship contenders potentially starting nose to tail up there. Plus, now when you throw in the wild card, all those other drivers on new tires, these guys restarting on old tires, it's going to make a very, very entertaining finish to the 2014 campaign, which, after everything we've seen this season, I think it is definitely not out of the question, nor is it out of the character of this incredible season.
First driver off pit road is going to be T-Loff in the number 51. There's another one of those Cody Bias Racing drivers, and you want to talk about a struggle this season, Tony. Started off by missing, I do believe, Daytona, but after that had a couple of really, really solid races. Actually had the best average finish within the first 5 races or so, and then ended up having a suspension issue, got into some disciplinary issues with the series, and T-Loff is going to try to finish off this season with at least a top 20 finish. Was not running where he wanted to this evening, but I'm sure Tyler going to try to finish this thing off very, very solidly, as he will come off pit road and about 24th-ish or so, or a little bit more than that, is scoring the loop this time.
Yeah, there's going to be some guys shuffling in the back, no doubt. But here's the thing. We had about 17 cars, maybe 18 cars stay on the racetrack. I don't care how good your race car is. This isn't Talladega. You're not Dale Earnhardt, and you're not making up 18 spots in 5 or 6 laps. So up front, those are the players we're going to have. The back might get a little dicey, but up front, I think we already know who's going to be sitting at the table.
We are going to step away for just a few moments' time, bring you some words on behalf of our series sponsor, and then we're getting ready for a shootout.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true. What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Welcome back, and we are getting ready for racing. We are doubled up, and we will see the green flag next time by. Here's your top 10 as we get ready to go. It's Kenny Humpy leading Chad Lawton. Michael Conti, your championship leader, and in a championship position right now. In position number 3, Cody Bias 4th, Ray Alfala 5th. King, Bolton, Mahar, Warren, Ottinger, top 10. All the way back to Brian Blackford, who is... let's call a spade a spade. That car is used up. It's tore up, and if we're looking for a caution here, Tony, not saying that might be where it is, but he's got guys on 2 and 4 tires breathing down his neck.
Yeah, that was his only hope to make up some spots. As remember, he's trying to race into the top 10. Now, mind you, with his teammates' commitment earlier tonight, I think that pretty much is going to be a certainty that Blackford will lock himself into the top 10, but he wants to get up as high as he possibly can, and he feels this is his best shot to do it, so might as well. Ain't gonna hurt. It's the last race of the season, Joe.
And for perhaps the final time in 2014, we get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing, the first racing Ford Mustang pace car down on pit road. Humpy hits the gas, lots of guys spinning the wheels as we get ready. They cross the line. Humpy still up front, Lawton in second. Michael, Connie, Cody Bias side by side. 3 wide now in turn. Number 1 and 2. Go 5, the 13, the 82. All doing business, still 3 wide. Here comes Ottinger.
Oh, this is going to get hairy very quickly off corner number 2. Down the back straightaway we go. We're 2 and 3 wide as they fan out around the 3 of Brandon Schmidt. They're pushing and shoving. 32 of Danny Hansen shoves it in on the 69 of Bennett. The 39 of Michael J. Johnson there. Tyler Laughlin trying to make up everything on the outside line. I don't know how they haven't wrecked yet. And at corner number 4, we complete 1 lap after the green.
They've tried 30 ways this Sunday to put something in the fence hard. A few of them have brushed off the safer barrier, but no substantial contact. Scribner loses spots up top. Up front, Ottinger starts to move forward on the outside. Things are finally settled out. Brandon Hoff goes around on the back straightaway. No caution yet, and now finally the yellow handkerchief gets thrown for the mercy call at the starter stand, and that means pace car back on the racetrack. Humpy will complete lap 162 of 167. We may have a 1-lap shootout, guys.
And you know that yellow flag was coming. You could tell in the air it had to happen.
What tipped
they
you
were
off,
3
Joe?
wide, 4 wide throughout the turn. Let's go ahead and work on the replay of that number 23 machine. Let's get, actually, I'm told the replay is happening now, and let's take a look at what happened. Look around him, though. First off, let's pause it right there and look at all the traffic around him. 4 wide, 3 wide, 3 wide, all the way through, leading up to this accident. With nowhere to go, the 23 gets loose on the hospital swerve. Right there, coming off of turn number 2. Gets loose, 57 punts him, 23 goes around, caution flag flies. That had to happen. That was a thing that was going to happen no matter what you did out there. They were just driving way too aggressive. And now the entire championship could rest on 1 lap.
And when you look at the comers and goers on that restart, you had T-Loff go from 18th coming down pit road, taking 2 tires, going to 15th in the 2 laps that we had. Brian Blackford restarted in 18th. He went to 27th. There were guys that were coming to the front going 3 wide. There were guys going at the back that were going 4 wide and going the very opposite direction. So that's what you saw with 3 and 4 wide. And with this restart, I think it's going to be a 1-lap dash, Tony, which means we're going to see the white flag. And as long as the leader crosses the white flag, the next flag is going to decide it, and there won't be a yellow flag on the last lap. They will race it back to the checkered flag. So as long as the leader takes the white flag, if this is a one-lap dash, this is going to come down to a very interesting restart. Chad Lawton wants to win a race. He wants to steal it away from Kenny Humpy. Michael Conti sinking championship, you know that. Cody Bias has never won a race in this series. You better believe that that's in the back of his mind as well. Justin Bolton's in the same situation on the outside of row number 3. And then you got guys who just want to flat out win this thing.
Yeah, you do. And here's the thing. All it takes is one mistake, Tim. One mistake by Mike Conti. We saw guys spinning tires like they were tops on the restart. That happens to Mike Conti in just the wrong spot. Somebody gets into him. He gets turned past the start-finish line. Championship's over. Never before has more ridden on a restart for the career of Mike Conti.
Top 20 also going to get real interesting around here, guys. Peter Bennett, Michael Johnson, if the points work out the way statistics say they are currently tied for that 20th and final guaranteed spot into the 2015 event.
Yeah, Tony's right. It's probably not going to stay long tied at this point. Rob Ackley also has a shot, but those two that he is chasing are in front of him right now, so Ackley, but the way we saw that restart could very well end up going 1 point up, 1 point back. Rob Ackley needs to take a huge swing at it. He needs to be about 9 positions or so ahead of Peter Bennett and Michael J. Johnson in order for this thing to end up his way. So that could very well happen if something, they do go 2, 3, 4 wide, and we saw it on the last restart. It probably could. Somebody might want to alert Miranda and Carey because I have a feeling something bad's about to happen.
Well, yeah. Nice plug there, Tim. Anybody that's not a country music fan will not get that joke.
I got it. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I thought it was too. Lights out atop the pace car. We're going green next time. Bye, boys.
Yes, we are. For the final time this season, we will go to green flag racing, and it will be a one-lap dash for the championship. Kenny Humpy, Chad Lawton up front, Michael Conti, Cody Bias, Ray Alfalla, your top 5, Justin Bolton, Kevin King, Brad Mayar, Nick Ottinger, Chris Overland, your top 10, Tim Terry for the last time. Put the hammer down and let's go racing.
Okay, guys, before we go back to green, who's got this? Tony?
The race is Kenny Humpy. I don't see Chad Lawton having anything for him on the white flag lap. Championship, Mike Conti. Barring Ray Alfalla's front bumper making contact with Mike Conti's rear bumper. Oh, look how they start! Nose to tail. It would be Mike Conti, but a mile and a half, a lot of things can happen, as we talked about just a moment ago. Joe?
Yeah, no doubt. Kenny Humpy's got this in the bag. He's been dominant all night. He's going to bookend this season with his second win at the very last race of the season. Championship, it's still too close to project. Yes, I am going to take the CNN route, say it's way too close, but I think it's going to be Michael Conti.
17 races come to one lap. Humpy is gone. Green flag flies. 26 spins the tires a little bit. They both have an advantage on the rest of the field. Bias on the outside, going to try to take it away from Conti. Conti drives it in, as does Ray Alfalla. Alfalla trying not to get into the back of car number 5 as they work through 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway for the final time in 2014. Alfalla trying to make something happen here in the 2 to the outside of the 27, the 5 on the inside of the 27, and here they come through corner numbers 3 and 4, 2 to the back bumper of the 5, almost a little bit of contact there. Bias up the racetrack. It's going to be Humpy winning the race, and it's going to be Conti taking away his first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing Championship. And that was exciting coming down to the finish, boys.
Ray Alfalla laid the bumper to Mike Conti. For just a split second, I thought that we were getting ready to see the unthinkable. We saw Conti bobble, we saw the 27 of Bias bobble, but Mike Conti stood firm and held his ground, and now he's become not only the youngest NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series champion, but the youngest NASCAR sanctioned champion in the history, the 60-plus 100-year history of NASCAR. What an accomplishment. Last year, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Joe, was responsible for the biggest comeback in the 64-year history of NASCAR then. Now, 65 years of history, we will crown the youngest ever NASCAR sanctioned champion.
And the entire team down there, that entire group celebrating with Michael Conti, his big championship. What an incredible finish. What an incredible story for Michael Conti. I remember it very well back in February. Conti telling us, yeah, I'm just going to run part-time. I'm going to run this until it doesn't get fun anymore. Well, guys, I don't think winning championships isn't a fun event. I think Conti found his fun this season, and he is rewarded with $10,000 and the honor of being the youngest NASCAR-sanctioned champion in history. Kenny Humpy walks away with the bookend win, his second win of the season. The first one, of course, coming at Daytona, but it's Michael Conti with all the reason to celebrate tonight.
His third year in the series, his 1,000th start on the iRacing Oval Service, and he walks away with the biggest prize in iRacing Oval Racing, the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing Championship. Conti brings it up to the wall and will light it up here. No, he'll back up and do some more celebrating. I don't think he's done, and we're going to step away here for a few moments and set up for the post-race show, and by the time we come back, he probably won't be done either, because he's got a lot of motor in that main performance sim pedals number 5. Race fans, don't go away. Post-race show coming up. We'll talk to the champion. We'll talk to Kenny Humpy and the rest of the top 5. Don't go away.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Travis, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Thanks, guys, for everything.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
So you got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
First thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to put the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing Series finale at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Your winner of the race is Kenny Humpy. Chad Lawton second. Your champion comes home in third. Michael Conti, Ray Alfala fourth, and Kevin King in position number 5. Cody Bias, Justin Bolton, Nick Ottinger, Brad Mahar, and Chris Overland come home in the top 10 for this evening's event at the Homestead-Miami Speedway, round number 17. Joe Cortez is down in victory lane with your winner, driver number 58, Kenny Humpy.
Kenny Humpy bookends the season, wins the opener at Daytona, comes back and wins the season finale at Homestead-Miami. Kenny, I know you guys were hoping for a couple more wins this season, but first and last, it's something to celebrate.
Yeah, definitely. Just winning one of these races is special, and to be able to win 2 of them just makes it that much more special. But first, before we get into the interview, I just wanted to congratulate Mike Conti. He had a hell of a season and deserved a championship there.
Definitely a great run for him. Let's talk about your run, though, real quick. You guys seem to have really found something very special in that car tonight. You took the lead, and you never gave it up. What made that car so good and so strong tonight?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just one thing. I mean, we were able to turn pretty good in the center and just had really good drive up off. It seemed like you either had one or the other, and we kind of had the best of both worlds. And everybody else seemed to be a little tight. But I know Connie and Ray and those guys were kind of playing it conservative, and we didn't get to race it out. But we definitely had a really fast car, and can't thank all the guys on the team for their help to get it going.
Kenny, it's been a great inaugural season for you guys. Again, very first race out the gate, you win the first race at Daytona. What have you guys learned throughout this season that's going to benefit you, that's going to open you up for next season?
I mean, we've learned a lot of things about the car. I don't know if we'll be able to take anything to next year. I'm sure we'll get some different physics and different changes to the sim that'll kind of hinder that. But as a team, we're doing pretty good at the moment. If we could just kind of keep that roll going and keep racing like that, I mean, we could definitely keep getting better. But there's just you can't really take anything from this year or this race and carry it. But I guess a little bit of momentum doesn't hurt.
So what happens now? What happens to Kenny Humpy during the offseason, getting ready for the 2015 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing that I know you guys are locked into for next year?
Really, we're going to help some other teammates that are going to be running the Pro Series, try to get back up into the DWC, and we got a couple new guys that are racing in the Pro Series for the first time. So we'll just keep playing and keep trying to get it better every week and try to get those guys up here so they can race with us too.
Kenny, it's been a long season. It's been a lot of laps on the track. I know there's a lot of guys who make it work for you all 15 weeks of the season. Who makes it work for everybody? Who you want to give a shout out to?
I got to give a shout out to the team. Chad and Kevin, Greg McKinney, and all those guys. Stephen Gilbert. Sorry about that. And we've been working hard, and it finally paid off tonight. We got another win, and also got to thank Greg McKinney with his Best Overhead Doors garage door company, and they came on board. We debuted the paint scheme tonight, and looks like we'll be keeping that one. But I also got to thank all the guys at iRacing and everybody that puts all these broadcasts together, you guys here at PSR TV and everybody else. And I also got to give a shout out to my parents. They're back home up in Ohio watching, so give those guys a shout out. And like I said, thank you guys.
Kenny Humpy opens the season with a win. He will close the season with a win as well. Finishing first tonight at Homestead-Miami. Kenny, congratulations. Have a great offseason, and I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you in 2015.
All right, thanks. You guys too.
Kenny Humpy, your winner tonight at Homestead-Miami. Let's go ahead and go to Tim Terry, who's got up with your new champion, Mr. Michael Conti.
And he did it in grand fashion this evening. Started on the pole, led 43 laps this evening, and came home in position number 3. Mike, we talked this morning before everything got going, and you told me you were nervous. You wanted this thing to be over. How are your nerves now? How does it feel now?
Oh, heck, man, I'm just glad it's over. That race was pretty, we had a good car. The race was pretty calm until the end there. With about 15 or 16 to go, the caution came out for something in the back, and I was concerned that quite a few people behind me were going to pit and mix up the strategy, and luckily they all pitted way behind me, so I didn't have to worry about tires coming because the old tires were just not very optimal on the restarts. No grip, but it was enough. The car was not as fast as Humpy. He had something figured out tonight, and he did a great job driving all night to get where he got. So congrats to him. And Chad did a good job, too, getting up there, up to second at the end. So those guys are really fast. I felt like I had some pretty decent short-run speed, and we got it a little bit better in the middle, and that kind of helped the mid to long-run speed. But it was enough. Myself, Tom Lewandowski, Brandon Hastings, everybody over at J-Show, we all knew going into tonight that we had to just be able to see Ray. And if we could see Ray, then obviously it was enough. And a couple times he got in front of me, but for the most part, I was able to hold him off. I pulled him a couple times, so just another phenomenal car. We've had great cars all season. Tom has really put a heck of a lot of effort into this, and if it weren't for him, I definitely would not be here now. So a big shout out to Tom. I hope he comes down to Homestead so I can personally thank him down there, and I can't wait to see everybody down there. And it still hasn't sunk in what all is about to come, but man, all I know is I had a lot of fun tonight. I had a lot of fun this season, which I said in the beginning is what I wanted to do, and this was a lot of fun. This championship is just the icing on the cake, Tim.
Before we look ahead to all that stuff, let's look back. You talk about having fun this season. 3 wins in 16 races. You ran up front in pretty much every race in this year. What are you going to take from this season? You mentioned the fun parts of it. What are you going to take that was the highlights, per se, of this championship season?
Yeah, I get a lot of people that ask me that. There's just so many good times this year compared to last year where we were just down so much, just struggling for speed and trying to just salvage top 10s and top 15s. But this year is just completely different. Dover was awesome at the end. That was pretty cool to be able to get that win where I thought I was out of it when my tires cliffed and Joey and Nick kind of drove into the sunset, and then they had a problem up front or something, and we just had that really late race restart and was able to roll the top, and I always look back at that. It was a really cool race. Winning Watkins Glen was something that I've always wanted to do in this series, and I'm thankful that Shannon and everybody else that runs the series decided to put a road course in the schedule, because I feel like, I feel like I'm pretty good at ovals, but I almost feel like I can do just as good or better when you take a Gen 6 car to a road course. So that was fun. Atlanta was fun. Racing with Tom, getting to see him win was cool, but man, I really want that one. That was really close. But man, we had a great season with 3 wins, I think 3 or 4 poles, a bunch of top 10s, top 5s, laps led. Just an awesome season overall, and man, I would have never expected this going into the season. I parked at Fontana. I think that was week 2 or 3. I parked because the car was so bad, and luckily that was used for my drop week, but ever since then we've had a lot of good cars, and I've been able to get them up front, and we've all done a good job as a team to make this championship happen.
You've got a lot of great teammates. We talk about Tom Lewandowski and Brian Schoenberger, who have pretty much been in this series since dirt was new. Danny Hansen has really come on this season and really poured it on. One race earlier this season for Jay Show and the whole team. Talk about how big your team is to get you to this point and this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing Championship.
Yeah, having a team is huge. Personally, I don't think you can win a championship or even run competitively in this series without a great group of guys around you. And whether it's technical support in the way of helping with setups or just running laps and testing and giving feedback. Not everybody on our team is the best at making setups, and they'll admit that. They'll tell that to you. But when I've needed it this season, Danny, Brian, Tom has done both. He's tested and really engineered a lot of these setups from the ground up. I think I've done a good job plateauing or springboarding off of what he's done, and I think I've been able to fine tune to my driving style well, and I think I've made some pretty decent adjustments, more major adjustments along the way too. So I've learned a lot this season about setting cars up. When I first came on iRacing a couple of years ago, I really didn't have a clue what was going on in the garage, and it was really intimidating. And Tom's sat down with me this season and really explained to me whenever I've had a question. He's always been really good about answering it and giving me an explanation as to why things do what they do, and that's really helped me toward the latter part of the season make more positive adjustments instead of sitting there just clicking things randomly, which is no fun. So again, J-Show Motorsports, I joined there 2 years ago with myself, Brian, Jason Loafing, Michael Main, and Chris Overland at the time, and I am so glad that I made that move when I did. When I joined there, I knew that the chemistry was unlike any other team I had had before that, and that's why I'm still there 2.5 years later. So a great group of guys. They support me 100% in any way that they possibly can. They did a great job tonight, just running the race, doing a good job relaying information, especially Hastings, and J-Lo did a good job, letting me know where Ray was or what strategy we need to be on or whatever. So they made my job really easy tonight, and I'm thankful for that. And I'm just glad that none of the late race cautions kind of threw a curveball at us. It all worked out in our way and for us, and we got us a championship.
Want to bring in Tony Gardner to bring congratulations to the champion on behalf of iRacing. And Tony, this kid put on a show in 2014.
Yeah, congratulations, Michael. That's awesome, and we can't wait to see you down at Homestead. And we'll be getting get some information tomorrow so we can send you some money. So great season. We're excited for you, and also congratulations to Ray. It's pretty amazing. He won 2 championships. We've had this for 5 years. Richard Tyler won it the first year. Ray won it 2, and then Tyler won it last year. So it's pretty amazing that Ray's won. Been in the top 2 4 out of the 5 years. But tonight's your night, man. Congratulations. Awesome job. The race tonight was great. The top 14 cars that finished tonight had 0 incident points. So it's just a clean, good race. So just awesome job all around. The season's been clean too. So just I can't believe how great this series is, and great job. So anyway, congratulations, man.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate what you and everybody at iRacing does to put this on for us. Without you guys leading the way in the simulation world, we wouldn't have any of this to do. So thank you guys for getting with NASCAR and Peak and all the other great sponsors of this series and putting on one heck of a series. I really appreciate it.
Mike, let's look forward here.
Yes, sir.
Let's look forward here too. Tony mentioned Homestead. Obviously, you're ready for Homestead, and I'm sure that's going to be a party. But next season, you mentioned earlier in the season that you were going to do this part-time to have fun. Now you have to defend a championship, correct?
Oh, man. Well, I'll just give you the same answer I gave everybody at the beginning of this year. I'm gonna run a part-time schedule next year, and I'm gonna do it until it's not fun anymore. So worked out pretty good this year. So I'm not gonna commit myself to anything. I find that when I'm not committed, I gotta do this the whole year, or else, I feel like I can perform better. And whether it was coincidence or not, it just really worked out great this year. So I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to go in with a part-timer's attitude. And next year's going to be a big year for me with starting college and moving to another state, and whatever else happens in 2015. So there's going to be a lot of moving going on. So I don't know, but we'll see. If we can run like this next year again, then I'll definitely have to show up and see what I can do. But there's going to be a lot of good competition next year. I can't wait to see the Pro Series. A lot of up-and-coming talent there. So I can't wait to watch that. And we'll just have to wait and see what I do next year. And, I'm not sure. But I'll definitely be there at some point. If it's not full-time, definitely part-time. So you'll see me.
Before we let you go celebrate, I know you have a ton of marketing partners on this race car that have helped you and that have stuck by you for these last few years to get you to this championship. Want to give you the opportunity now to thank those partners who have helped you get to the top in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.
Oh gosh, I know we don't, I know I ramble quite a bit all the time, so I apologize for that. So I'm not going to do that tonight. If I could, I would go back and list everybody that's helped me from the beginning, but I'll do that in a Facebook post where I don't have to bore everybody. But mainly, thank you to everybody that's helped this year. That would be Mike Main with Main Performance PC, Sim Pedals, which I think are releasing in the next couple weeks, so stay tuned for that. It's going to be a big deal. The RCRL with David Ankeny has been a great supporter. At Jeremy Lukaska, JDR Graphics, Speed 77 Race Chaser. Oh gosh, I hope I'm not missing anybody. I don't think I am. Abuto Cockpits, of course, that goes hand in hand with Mike's company. So I want to thank all of them for being on my car this year. They went through a couple different paint scheme changes. They were nice enough to let me run a 3-year anniversary scheme this year, or tonight, which didn't exactly fit some of the sponsors' needs, but they were nice enough to let me do that. And it just all worked out. And it's just my 1,000th iRacing Oval start, 3-year anniversary in DWC, and we got through tonight with a really good car, sat on the pole, and we're the champions this year. So thank you guys for putting this on. Thank you to everybody at J-Show, and thanks to everybody that's watching. I think we're on Twitch tonight, YouTube, so we're really trying to get this series out there, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight.
And on behalf of everybody here at PSR TV and iRacing Live, Mike, want to congratulate you once again on the championship. You put on a show all season long and look forward to seeing you not only at Homestead, but also here next season.
All right, thanks, Tim.
Tony Stevens has caught up with our 4th place finisher this evening and our championship runner-up, Ray Alfalla.
Ray, I know it's not what you wanted. 2 years in a row, 2 second-place finishes. Your thoughts now as the season is over and you are 1 spot shy of your 3rd championship once again?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, congrats to Michael. You ran a great season all year, and well deserved. I knew 13 points was quite a bit to overcome. So even if I wanted, I had to finish outside the top 10, which is unlikely to happen. So I just, I raced around 3rd or 5th the whole race. It was kind of uneventful, except for there at the end. Everybody had very old tires, which made it for an exciting last lap. Figures we would end the season on a 1-lap shootout, which is always exciting. But yeah, overall, I'm very proud of everyone at Slip Angle Motorsports, new team this year, and gotta thank Main Performance PC Sim Pedals for coming on board, and Pro Geek and New Block Hosting, and again, everybody at Slip Angle. Everybody worked well together all season, and second in points is obviously 1 spot short, but we're still proud of our effort, and look forward to starting next year better off than we started this year, because it was kind of a slow start.
Ray, final lap. I think we all expected some fireworks. I mean, you wouldn't be a competitive spirit if you didn't try something, and you laid the bumper to Mike Conti. Was that more of a congratulatory, man, you just beat me, or was it one of those deals of, I don't want to make this look intentional, but if chaos happens after, it's okay?
No, I mean, I was ready to get on the gas, just coming down to the finish, and I was still next to Cody Bias, so I was trying to get every spot I could, and Mike just happened to be there. I mean, that would have been pretty bad if I wrecked him there right at the end. So I was just trying to get going, and just encourage him to do the same.
Well, Ray, congratulations on a well-earned, hard-fought 2nd place finish for the 2nd year in a row. We look forward to seeing you in 2015 try to get yet another championship under your belt.
Thanks, and thank Peak Antifreeze for the sponsorship, of course, and PSR TV for broadcasts, and Larry over on the other team wants a shout out for his immoral support. So there you go, Larry, and everybody over there on the other team also for all the support during all the races. Jordan Hightower, JD Laird, Harrison Weidlitz. Thanks to all those guys. Made the season a lot of fun to race. So see you all next year.
That's Ray Alfalla, driver of the Sim Pedals Ford for with Angle Motorsports, and I think Joe has caught up with our second place finisher on the race, Chad Lawton. Joe?
Chad Lawton finishing second in tonight's race. And Chad, your car just seemed to come alive at the end of the run. Was that something intentional, or did you just decide, hey, let's go for it since we've got nothing to lose?
Yeah, halfway through the race, I knew I had like a 35-point cushion on fifth, I think, in the point standings, and I figured I'd just ride around. And then at some point, I realized that I could drive the car a little bit harder. And then as every time we got a caution, got back out on the track and did another run, I realized I could drive the car harder. So that last pit stop, I got the crew did an awesome job. I think I had like a 12.6 second stop, and it got me up to second place, and had some good restarts and was able to maintain up there ahead of Ray and Conti. So it's a pretty good non-eventful race.
Good. Yeah, it seemed like an excellent run for you guys. Let's talk about pit strategy, because we didn't see a whole lot of pit strategy, especially at the end there. Walk us through how you guys decide to manage pit strategy throughout the race tonight.
I guess there wasn't really too much pit strategy tonight. It seemed like every time we'd get within 10 laps of our fill window, 10 to 5 laps of our fill window, a caution would come out. So I guess the only strategy we had was the last restart, or the second to last restart, something like that. We just decided to stay out with 10 to go, and it worked out in our favor.
So what happens now? It's the season's over. We've got about a little bit of a reprieve. We've got about a 4-month reprieve before we get back at it for the 2015 campaign. What happens to you and the rest of the team during the off-season?
Well, I guess I'm going to have a pretty eventful off-season away from iRacing. I think this is a much-needed break for me. Since the day I joined, I did nothing but try to go for pro and made it my first season in Division 2, and I've been running DWC and Pro Series for like the last 2 years, and this will be my first break. But with that, I'm also, I guess, getting out of the military, so I'll be handling all that and be back in California for definitely next season. I'm going to try to make as many races as I can, but like Conti said earlier, I'm going to take it race by race and see what happens.
We certainly thank you for your service to this great country, and we look forward to seeing you back here in 2015. Before I let you go, anyone else you want to give a shout out to? Anyone else you would like to thank for this incredible season? Microphone's all yours, my friend.
Yes, definitely want to thank iRacing for putting on this, Peak Antifreeze series, and iRacing for putting this awesome series on.
That is Chad Lawton. He will finish 4th in points. He will finish in a money position after a 2nd place finish tonight. Chad, congratulations. Thank you again for your service, and we look forward to seeing you in 2015. Let's go ahead and get over to Tony Stevens, who's caught up with our 5th place finisher, Kevin King.
Kevin King's didn't have the greatest of nights, but the good news for you, Kevin, your team ended up on top, and you had a solid run to come across the flag. What's this mean for you now going into the offseason?
Well, first of all, I'd like to disagree with you. I think I had a pretty darn good night. Started 8th and was pretty much top 5 pretty much the entire race. I felt like I could keep up with people late in the run, but seemed like every time we get late to a run, yellows would fly. So the speed advantage I had at that point was pretty much gone. But in terms of the off season, it's just going to be enjoying not having to worry about racing. I guess I took a bit of a break and decided that I didn't really want to focus as much energy and time into this as much as I had been for the last 2.5 years. It seems like, actually probably more than that. And it just made it more enjoyable just to kind of just show up and help out a little bit and able to run well. I think this is the first time I've finished a race in the top 5 since my Texas win, which is probably like, 6 months ago. I've been wrecked ever since then. So a lot of times you get wrecked, it's not so much fun, and so it makes you pursue different things. And that's what I did for a little while. And I enjoy all of my teammates. They're all great people, but I definitely need a little bit of a break there.
If you take the Mike Conti approach and do it until it's not fun anymore, I guess the championship is yours in 2015. Kevin, a lot of guys change things in the offseason. Anything that's going to be changed with the 29 bunch, or is it going to be kind of business as usual, as you just said? Show up, run fast when you can, and have fun with it.
Well, the biggest thing for me is work and the conflicting schedules I have. It takes me around 30 minutes to get home, so a lot of the times when I'm close to home, it's qualifying session, and sometimes I miss that, and it's barely getting in time for a race. So I've adjusted my schedule the last really 2 years to be able to run one DWC on Tuesdays and give myself a lot of time. But we'll see how that works out. I mean, I don't really want to put myself in a position where I'm stressing out of coming home from work and rushing home from work in traffic just to make a race. You know, it's not a safe thing to do, and it's not something that would probably be too enjoyable if I missed a few every once in a while. But you know, we'll see what happens. In terms of team, I mean, our team is great. Richard and I have been working together for a number of years now, and of course Chad has kind of been, you know, he's been around, he's been up and down different teams, but for the most part, we really like what he does and what he brings, and you know, as long as we keep him straight, you know, he'll stick around. That's the most important thing, is getting a group of people that will stay around for the long run. It's very hard. I'm sure everyone knows it's very hard getting a team, a core group of guys that you can count on, rely on week to week, and it's very difficult because people sometimes just lose interest, and you wonder how long that's going to last until they lose interest in what you're doing and go somewhere else. But all our guys are really great. Obviously, Kenny, he's probably the fastest guy in ovals, pure speed-wise. Chad does really well. Richard does stuff when he can. You know, I'm around when I can. Greg McKinney, he's going to be running pro. Steve Gilbert will be running pro. We have Ed Birch. We have Tim Barker. And there's a number of other guys that help out in the background. So the guys that we have, they obviously help us run very well, more so than Chad this season than anything else. And that was really my goal when we put this team together, was finding a group of guys that we knew that wasn't going to hop around team to team. And when it came down to it, we could count on for assistance throughout the entire season, and that's what it was. And so I'm really happy with the guys. Everyone gels really, really nice together, and we just have a lot of fun. So no changes in my part in terms of teams.
Well, Kevin, we certainly look forward to seeing you at Daytona in February. Congratulations on another solid run tonight. Thanks, man. I'm going to give a shout out to my sponsors: Cooper Standard, Kyosho, Team Ryan, a.k.a. Brad Keselowski Racing, Reese, Rawtite, Peak Antifreeze, of course, for putting this on for us. And congratulations, Mike. He had that part-time schedule working out really well for him. And it's still a good job to Ray. It's very hard to run successfully for this amount of time, and he's done a really good job. And especially thanks to you guys for putting this on and getting exposure to this hobby we all love. That's Kevin King, finishes 5th here tonight. And I think Tim Terry has caught up with a guy that ran in the top 5 as well all night long. That's Cody Bias.
Yeah, quick word with 6th place finisher Cody Bias, because he ran in the top 5 all night long, started in position number 2. And Cody, let's talk about the last lap. What happened there?
I was pinching Mike out of 2. I had a good run going down the back, and then I was just going to try to pinch him a little bit in 3. And as soon as I started getting a run, I started getting pushed up the track, and then there was a little bit of contact or neck code, whatever happened, and it ended up costing me 3 spots. But wasn't expecting that. I drove my heart out on the last start, and I gave it all I could and tried to salvage what I knew could be a really good night into a decent night.
And it was a really good night at the end of it, finishing 8th in the point standings. You really came on strong at the end of the season. You and your whole team came on strong at the end of the season. Looking back on 2014, what is your summary of the season? Are you happy with what happened in 2014?
I'm definitely happy. I mean, at the start of the year, we started off strong, and then the ride height rule came in effect where setups changed quite a bit, and it took us a while to catch up to everybody, but as soon as we did, we started clicking off top 10s. Now it's top 5s. We're running in the top 5. But at the end of the year, we showed a lot of speed and a lot we can build on for next year, and hopefully we can take these top 5s, top 10s, and get some W's.
Important question before we let you go. Did Adam Gilliland share any of his birthday cake?
Well, Adam had a huge cake, of course, but unfortunately, no, he didn't share to any of his teammates. But hopefully, he will save us some next time.
I'm sure he will. That's Cody Bias finishing in position number 6 here this evening, and a very stout run that number 27 car had. Let's look at the point standings right now before we close off this evening. And yes, Michael Conti did win the championship. It goes down as a 15-point win over Ray Alfala. Ottinger in 3rd, Lawton, Jake Sturgis in 5th, Chris Overland, Matt Busa, Cody Bias, Adam Gilliland, Justin Bolton, top 10. Unofficially here as we go through here: Kenny Humpy, Danny Hansen, Brian Blackford, Brad Mahar, Alex Warren, Byron Daly holds on to 16th after not being here for the finale. Tom Lewandowski, Brian Day, PJ Sturgis, Michael J. Johnson, your top 20, 2 points back to Peter Bennett, and then Rob Ackley, Trey Eidson, and the rest of the field. So Peter Bennett on back, Tony, will be in the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series, barring any sanctions or anything else that we don't know about at this point. So it looks like that we are in for a pretty good series for 2015, because there's a lot of talent in that top 20.
There really is, Tim, and there's a lot more that's going to be coming through the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series as well. And it's hard to say, really, that series just as unpredictable as anything, for that matter, and the off season is going to be entertaining, no less. And is it February yet? That's a question. I mean, I cannot wait for the series to come to Daytona, to where we see some of these guys try to take a stab again at winning at a championship and making things happen.
You know, the season always goes way too fast every year. It seems like only yesterday we were at Daytona International Speedway celebrating the 5th season of what was the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and what was to be the inaugural season of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com. And throughout the season, we've seen the rise of champions. We've seen the rise of competitors. We've seen drivers win their first race. We've seen drivers come back from nowhere to win races. And it's always very difficult to watch a season end. But that being said, the next season is just beginning. There's going to be plenty of winter racing. There's going to be plenty of off-season trials. And before we know it, February will be on us one more time, and the 3 of us will be here together one final time, at least one more time, to celebrate a new season, to celebrate our 6th season, and potentially our 4th world champion. Before I go, I would be remiss if I did not thank all of the people who made this work for me. Tim Terry, who I have had the pleasure of working with now for just under 10 years. Tim, next year will mark our 10th year in business, and I just wanted to note that for whatever reason now. Tony, always a pleasure working with you. I'd like to thank our friends at Peak Antifreeze, iRacing.com, and NASCAR, all of the partners that make this work around the world, including Nesson, MotorRacingNetwork.com, the voice of NASCAR, iRacing, Brazil, and many others who bring it to you every race. In Racing News, of course, who brings you coverage of the series all season long. It's going to be a short off season, guys, because we've got so much more to look forward to in the off season and coming into 2015, the 6th season of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, and I look forward to having the honor of calling it with you both next season. But until then, I would be remiss if I did not speak to my very good friend Nick Ottinger, who came 3rd in points. Nick, real quick, once again, a great season, just not good enough to win the championship.
Hey, it was really a subpar year, to be honest, Joe. We're kind of hit or miss whether finishing good or not. I mean, we had pace to run top 5 majority of the season, and honestly, we just basically we're hit or miss these last 4 or 5 races, and you really can't have that. I mean, it happens, yes, but you can't have that when you're battling for a championship. But it's the solid thing is we were battling for a championship final race. I mean, that's progression for us as a team, and I think we can go out and I know I'm looking more in the future, but I think we can contend for it again next year. But it was a good season by Mike. I mean, he put the whole season together. And, I mean, the Ring Toyota Camry was like I said, hit and miss, but I mean, we're right there with them for most part of the season, and Ray did a good job as well. But you got to put these things together, Joe, and we just didn't do it this year.
Nick, there's a lot of the season between now and then, and I'm sure we will see you guys competing one more time in 2015, and I look forward to watching it then. Nick Ottinger finishing third in points. Hey, if nothing else, you guys walk away with a little bit of money. Tim Terry, that does it for the 2014 campaign. Let's go ahead and call it a season. What do you say, Chief?
Yeah, it was an exciting season that it was. A lot of ups and downs. I don't think anybody's going to forget the New Hampshire Motor Speedway finish between Alex Warren and Matt Busa. And you look throughout the year, we had a long stretch where we didn't have a repeat winner in this series. Mike Conti will go down as a 3-time winner. Ryan Fowler and Nick Ottinger go down as a 2-time winner in this series, as will Kenny Humpy as well after winning here this evening. Bookending the season after winning at Daytona, he will finish off the season at Homestead, and we will see all of these drivers back in a 2015 for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing for the 2015 season. There's still the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series to run to decide who is going to take the final positions in that series to fill out the fields that will join the top 20 that made it in through the points from 2014. There's a bunch of people in the background that make these broadcasts happen each and every week from PSR TV. I'm sure I'm going to forget a couple, but there's Ilka Hapola, Zach Stanko, Paul Johnson, everybody else in the New York studio with Ian pushing all those buttons to make us go on air. Of course, Ian Bushing himself, Matt Racing Kid Thomas, Chuck Johnson, Tony Stevens, and, of course, Joe Cortez and Nim Cross, I know, pitched in a little bit throughout the season as well. So want to thank Nim for helping out when we were in a pinch throughout this 17-race season. Want to thank all the drivers for putting on the show that they have all season long. Want to thank iRacing, Peak Antifreeze for supporting this series throughout this 2014 campaign. And once again, congratulations to Mike Conti, first-time champion, and I know he will do well representing not only this service, this series, but also Peak Antifreeze and the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. On behalf of everybody here at PSR TV and iRacing Live, my name is Tim Terry. We'll see you next season when we say let's go racing at the Daytona International Speedway. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing